All right, a Friday edition of the Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Jack Johnson heading up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours we've got you. We'll head to St. Joe coming up an hour from now. We'll hear from the Kansas City Chiefs. It'll be Andy Reid, Drew Tranquill, Josh Simmons, and Nico Remigio at the podium today whenever practice wraps up for the Kansas City Chiefs. In a couple of hours, coming up at noon, we will talk with Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest. 41 is the Mike podcast. Get his thoughts on observations this week, long practice on Tuesday, some injuries, updates to what the offensive line looks like, and other things that pop up along the way with Matt Derrick. That comes up at noon. We got the cuts before the show is over as well. 913-912-4810 is the text line. 913-912-4810 text line to join us to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. We're going to do the fun radio thing here. We're going to do the fun media member radio thing here on the air, and that's going to be, what's your letter grade for the Royals trade yesterday?
Yes!
I need a letter grade. I need a percentage. It's not a pass-fail.
Yes.
Did they get an 82% on the test? Was it an 86%? Is it a B+? Is it a B? Is it a B-? Is it an F-?
Oh.
Is it a pass-fail, but you fail because you don't actually have enough credits to get credit for the class, like the Minnesota Twins? Like, you can't actually finish. You don't have enough days of attendance to allow you to show up for the final. Therefore, you fail. You are the Minnesota Twins.
Joe Ryan standing there like Will Smith in Fresh Prince and looking around and no one else is there. I would say Byron Buxton, but he's also injured. Royce Lewis also injured.
Royce Lewis standing there like John Travolta and looking right and left in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
Anybody? All right, what do I do here? What am I supposed to do? Do I actually go out and play? What's the plan here moving forward? I'll give you mine. My nephew texted last night. He was like, all right, what's the letter grade for the Royals? What do we think now that the trade deadline is over, what they got, who they gave up? And by the way, I'll just go ahead and let's lump it all together for who they traded away and who they got back. So yesterday they move on from Freddie Fermin, Evan Sisk, Callan Moss, Junior Marte, Cam Devaney. They moved on from Andrew Hoffman earlier with the Randall Grichuk trade. And so you end up getting back Adam Frazier, Randall Grichuk, Stephen Kolek, Ryan Bergert, Bailey Falter, and then Yaz, the last move that was made by the Kansas City Royals to acquire Mike Yastrzemski. I gave it a letter grade of B. There wasn't a big splashy move, right? They didn't go out and get the Philadelphia Phillies, Yohan Duran, right? They didn't go and get Harrison Bader. Like, the Phillies went out and made some big moves. The Mariners went out and made some big moves. The Royals, to me, what I viewed yesterday as was what the plan was that we thought it was going to be anyway, and that is a focus on certainly this year, but a focus for 2026 as well. The difference is we expected 2026's focus to be with bats in the outfield.
Yeah.
Instead, the 2026 focus was with controllable arms. And Ryan Bergert, I'm excited about. I think that could be the gem of the trade. Stephen Kolek is a guy that, could be a swing starter / reliever, depth piece for the organization.
More of a jag. More of a jag, but you need those guys.
A guy with a 4.2 ERA that'll play that instead of Dick Mountain and Dallas Keuchel.
And he's back to Rich Hill after the last outing.
Right.
Yeah.
Thomas Hatch, guys like that. Then you have somebody that's been pitching for the Padres this year and has an ERA just over 4. Bailey Falter, to me, is organizational depth as well. That, again, you'd rather him go to the mound than a Rich Hill or a Dallas Keuchel. And we know about Adam Frazier. We know about Grichuk and then Mike Yastrzemski there. I think Bergert could be the prize of the whole thing, and there's a little Noah Cameron excitement to what Bergert does when he gets with Sweeney and Bove and this Royals development, and I think the same thing for Kolek and Vulture as well, as opposed into years past where you're like, all right, well, I hope this guy is fully refined, because if he gets to the Royals, then they're not going to do much to help him. In fact, he might go back just a little bit. He might regress a little bit, where there's an expectation almost of a progression, and these guys taking a next step with this organization and the pitching. So they got controllable arms for the future. Burgert's under team control through 2031.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't going to be a full year of service time. Next year will be his first full year of service time. They have 6 years of control after this year for Ryan Burgert. Kolek is under team control through 2039, right? Grichuk and Frazier and Yaz expiring contracts. Those guys are just for this year. What J.J. Piccolo did was, looking at the entire 26-man roster, the way that Matt Quatraro manages, the way that J.J. Piccolo clearly wants his manager to manage. That's why he hired Matt Quatraro. If he didn't want him to manage the way that he does, then he would go and hire somebody else. So he runs the clubhouse and runs the team, in-game managing, lineup, bullpen usage, starters. Certainly they work in concert, but he makes the decisions with the players that they have the way that he wants them to do that. And this 26-man roster, I think, what J.J. Piccolo did yesterday was try to make it more complete, where Phillies and the Mariners went for high-end players to get the top 5, 6 players on their team to improve and increase that. The Royals went to, say, 23, 24, 25, and 26. We're going to round out the club, make it more complete, more pieces that fit for Q to utilize, and our floor is better, which could help out our ceiling, but we have increased the bottom, which can help out the top. But at minimum, what we have done is increase the bottom of this lineup and helped out for 2026, and didn't really lose anybody of consequence. You would hope in the future. Maybe Junior Marte is the one that could be something that comes back to bite him.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate when you look at Twitter and social media and how much stock you put into it. That's up to you. But there's a little stock that I was putting into it yesterday, seeing all the Padres fans pissed that Burgert was the one included in the deal. Like, not happy about Ryan Burgert being traded. And I feel like that could have been a little bit of Noah Cameron. If Noah Cameron was moved for somebody, and it's like, really, you get a backup catcher that's going to come in, and yeah, he's better than what we have, but a backup, you're giving up Noah Cameron? Yeah, the Royals needed Royals needed a left fielder, but you gave up Noah Cameron for this guy who's been a fourth outfielder for this team, and you're hoping he'll fill in and he'll be better defensively, but like Ke'Bryan Hayes, a gold-gloving third baseman, but he can't hit, although he hit the 3-run home run yesterday.
Of course.
In a loss. Really, you gave up that for a soft-hitting third baseman? Like, what are you doing? A little appreciation on the social media of the amount of Padres people and fans that were like, I'm freaking pissed that Burgert was included. I wouldn't give up Freddie Fermin for Burgert alone. And then you gave up Burgert and Kolek for this guy? Nah, this is a dumb trade. So I do appreciate that a little bit. I give it a B, Sterling.
I give Royals fans a ton of credit for the stuff that I have seen. Everyone was appreciative of Freddie Fermin, but I didn't see a ton of overvaluing Freddie Fermin. I saw a lot of Royals fans, because I always wonder if, and I was on Facebook Royals. I know Royals Facebook is a lot different than Twitter Royals, right? There's a slight difference there.
I don't know the difference
but the ones that I saw were, yeah, we like Fermin, but what the Royals got in return, the value made sense. And I didn't see anyone mad, for the most part, about losing Marte for the return that the Royals, I saw a lot of rational thoughts.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and maybe it's because Royals fans, we've been burned by a lot of great prospects in the past. We've been there when Kia Kaihui was going to be the guy. But seriously, how can you trade Will Myers? And you do, and then great things happen. How can you trade Finnegan? And then all of a sudden, you're like, okay, Finnegan didn't become what we all thought Finnegan was going to be. Alberto Mondesi is probably example A in all this conversation. And so I think he's like 29.
Yeah, he's not even 30 yet. We got to give him a chance.
But so for me, I think Royals fans are maybe more equipped to understand that prospects are just that. They're prospects. It's all potential at that point. I like what the Royals did. They threaded the needle of trying to get better this year while also getting better for 26, 27, and 28. They didn't lose a guy that I really thought was going to be a major. I mean, even Cam Devaney, who I like Devaney. I didn't like the Devaney-Adam Frazier deal personally. You know my thoughts on that. It's not a massive move. It's not like they gave up a crazy prospect. I just wanted to see Devaney. I wanted to see him at least get into an at-bat when his entire family came up for that and then just sat on the bench for 5 days. But Evan Sisk, I liked. But again, we thought of him as what? Maybe a middle reliever as a lefty. You maybe think he's Daniel Lynch. Maybe. So overall, yeah, I'll go B+. Again, not a lot of big names, but they didn't give up a lot of big names in return. So I like the threading of the needle that J.J. Picollo had.
Yeah, Evan Sisk is a little Walter Pennington-esque to me. That it's like, okay, this is a name that you feel like could help. You moved him for somebody else, and we'll see if he ever actually does anything in the big leagues for a different team. Jack, how do you assess this?
I'll probably give this one an A, to be honest with you. Look, Freddie for me was
go to your class.
Yeah, no, this is
easy teacher.
Easy,
hey,
yeah.
Keystone, you want Jack as your professor?
I'm telling you how to pass the class before the first class even
Here's the
happens.
syllabus and the answers.
Yeah, if you do the homework, you're going to get a good grade here. But the reason I give this an A is that we talked about the Royals catching depth in the system. Oh, who do they need to give up? Ramon Ramirez, Blake Mitchell, or Carter Jensen if they want to go get some valuable pieces for the future. And in the end, they gave up a 30-year-old backup catcher who's still a below-league average bat. Now, Freddie was excellent behind the plate, and he did a lot of great things for the Royals over the last 3 years. And he was an incredibly valuable backup catcher, but that's the exact reasoning I have to use here. You traded a guy that wasn't even playing every single day for two pitchers that were making starts on a playoff team for 5+ years of control. There's a reason Padres fans were upset by this, and what's great about it is we saw how desperate they were for catching. Elias Diaz and Martin Maldonado had been two of the worst offensive performing catchers in all of baseball, and it's not that Freddie Fermin is hitting 310, 315, 320. He's been fine. He's been good offensively, but he's been more of a defensive threat behind the plate. The good news for the Royals, they like what Luke Maile can do behind home plate, and they desperately needed pitching. And you get two guys that you really can mold into special pitchers. Not saying they will be, but you look at the stuff that Berger has, you look at the stuff that Kolek has, those are guys that you can put in right now as 4 or 5 guys, although I did see Kolek on Omaha's roster, so he might be in Omaha.
I think he's immediately going down. I think
that should not last long.
That's your Alec Marsh, Kyle Wright replacement.
But let me ask you this, Jack. Is that simply because he was sent down
for Berger?
For Berger.
Yeah.
Is that to where even if you trade him, you still have to wait the minimum amount of days when you send him down before you can recall him?
I'm wondering the same thing, but also if he was eligible to be on the roster, I can see the reasoning to keep him down there because you also, which I know we'll talk about, but Bailey Falter's made 22 starts this year. He should be starting one of those games in Boston, and then I'd imagine they're going more upside with Berger in the rotation. Keep Kolek ready until maybe September when you've got the expansion and you can call him back up. Because if you got 5 starters, then you also have Lorenzen maybe coming back soon, Reagan's coming back soon. You want to keep one of those guys fresh, but I would say by the end of the season in September, Kolek needs to be up here. All 3 of these guys they acquired, but to get the years of control, they could be 4 and 5 starters for their entire career in Kansas City, and this is still an A move because they kept all 3 of their catchers of the future in their system and gave up a guy they were likely going to try to negotiate trading in the offseason anyway.
I saw Saris write something at The Athletic yesterday, and he was talking about the real winners, or not the real winners, but the overlooked winners of trade deadline.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got their winners and losers, but from the team perspective. And he listed, I think there were 4 or 5 players that he listed as winners of the trade deadline. One of them being Kobe Mayo in Baltimore.
Sure.
Like, guys that weren't traded, but what happens with it. So Kobe Mayo in Baltimore, no longer with Laureano and O'Hearn. Mayo now every single day will get at bats. And he's starting to turn it on in the last 3 or 4 weeks. He's OPSing at 1,100.
Sure.
So it's like, okay, well, is this guy going to be Austin Riley now? He was one of the winners.
When's Austin Riley going to be Austin Riley?
I don't know. He was a little bit too much at times over this past week. But Randy Rodriguez in San Francisco, now that Camilo Duvall has been traded and Ryan Walker's no longer the closer there, so Randy Rodriguez sliding into that role is a winner. And then he listed like 4 or 5 others with smaller little tidbits about. One of those was Carter Jensen in being a winner. Now, I don't think we see Carter Jensen unless it's a September call-up, that it's he's going to get some sort of a look. He'll get a look at the big leagues just so he gets a taste of it, a cup of coffee, so that next year when he's at the big league camp and he breaks camp with the big league club next year, which I think is probably the plan, that it's not all new and his debut isn't there. Plus, you still keep the PPI possibility with Carter Jensen, all of that stuff. But I think it's definitely Maile, and if Maile goes down, I think it's Luka Tresh that comes up instead of Carter Jensen. I think they want to keep Carter down there, continue to handle a pitching staff, learn from that, because you're Freddie Fermin next year.
Yeah.
I think that's the plan. So maybe it is Carter as one of the winners, but I thought that was interesting. I heard a lot of people talking about, is Carter going to come up now? Like, I don't think so. I think there's one thing for Jack Caglione to be mashing at AAA and be like, what else can he learn? Well, he's an outfielder, a right fielder, first baseman. And what else can he learn at the plate? That's really what you're bringing him in for. Fermin was here as a guy that could handle the pitching staff, be a good catcher, fill in for Salvi, a great compliment to Salvi. That's not Carter yet. And so it's like, what more do you need Carter to do down at AAA? Be a catcher.
Yeah.
Being a hitter, he's certainly acclimating to AAA really well, but all of the things that it takes to refine your craft as a catcher is a longer process, and I think they're still working on that with Carter, whereas we'll see what Luka Tresh can do if Maile goes down or Salvi's got to go on the IL. Hopefully not, but something along those lines. Then I think you'll see Luka Tresh, and I don't think you'll see Carter Jensen this year unless it's a cup of coffee September call-up, something like that when you expand the roster by 2.
I think that the Yastrzemski move was really solid, by the way. I know he's had a down year. I understand he's OPSing at 685. I know people will see the 231 average and say why. The floor has been raised a lot by Yastrzemski now being a Royal. His on-base percentage is 330. He gets on base at a good clip. He will take a walk. The reason why his OPS is so down this year, went from 775, 740 last year, 685 this year. His slug's way down. He's never been a guy who's going to hit for a high average. He's going to be around that 230 mark. He's going to get on base around a 330 clip, but he's normally a really big doubles guy. He hits 15-ish home runs a year. Now, part of that's an Oracle or not the easiest place to hit a home run. A lot of times they say, San Fran, especially at night, the only place that's harder than Kauffman to hit a home run is San Fran at night. So it's not easy there. But you'd expect Yaz to hit a lot of doubles here at the K. His arm is strong, good arm value this year. Not the quickest or best defender out there in the outfield, but I do think this is a floor raiser. Rave had been okay at times this year, but inconsistent. Yaz is going to be a much more consistent player. And again, he's getting on base at almost what, I think that the Royals were hoping India would do. I like the addition of Yaz. It lengthens the Royals lineup. Again, those professional at-bats, if you will, and to me it moves Adam Frazier even more into a pinch hitting role versus what he had to do was a starter.
Well, I was looking yesterday at the names that were out there, and I think there was a player that was available, and I'll ask you guys if you can name this guy. But I think the Royals, for Cam Devaney and Junior Marte, could have ended up with this particular guy that plays in the outfield. I looked at his numbers, and he's batting .247. He's getting on base at .350, slugging .421, so a .771 OPS, 13 home runs, 53 walks, and only 97 strikeouts in about the same plate appearance as you've seen the Royals right fielders combined. And by the way, the Royals right fielders combined this year have a .511 OPS. This guy's got a .771, which is tied with Vinny Pasquantino.
That's why I said even Yaz getting a .685 is a huge difference.
You guys want to take a guess? I'll give you about 15 seconds to think of a name that might have been out there.
Starling Marte.
That I think they could have got but that guy can't even be there in the postseason. So, I mean, it could have been, no, I'm thinking about Profar, sorry. But not Marte.
I think Marte's at like 290.
Yeah.
It's a great year.
247, 350, and 421.
He was not traded?
No, he was not. Oh. Or he was. Or it's a trick question. Or I'm just being a jerk to you guys.
Yeah, that'd be also.
I thought at first, before you even opened your mouth, it was going to be the stats of Tommy Pham hitting 411 since he got contact lenses or new ones. Oh,
I do love that.
It's not Alex Call, because Alex Call is in 270.
Yeah.
It's a trick question. I'm messing with you guys.
Oh.
Those are the numbers combined of Yaz versus righties and Grichuk versus lefties. If you platoon these guys, which I think they'll do, which is where I talked about the bottom of the lineup and rounding out what Q can do, if you've got your right fielder as Grichuk and Yaz, and it's close to a straight platoon, those guys combined, Yaz versus righties and Grichuk versus lefties, this year alone, even in a down year for Yaz, this year alone, they are batting 247, getting on base at 350, OPSing slugging at 421, OPSing at 771. That's combined if you just straight platoon them. 13 home runs, 22 doubles, 53 walks, and 97 strikeouts. By the way, if you just look at those numbers combined, that would be the most walks on the team by 14, the second highest on-base percentage, only behind Michael Garcia, the third highest OPS, tied exactly with Vinny at 771, the fourth most home runs, the fifth most doubles, and the fifth most RBIs on the team for anybody if you take Yaz versus righties and Grichuk versus lefties.
What is jarring? I just looked up Yaz's splits.
Yeah.
I almost let out an expletive. How the bleep were the Giants allowing him to face lefties?
Yeah, you shouldn't. You
versus righties, he's batting 254, 366 on base, OPS in 759, 45 walks to 66 strikeouts. Great clip in today's day and age. Against lefties, it's MJ Melendez. 145, 181, 2. I have no idea.
So you know how you know how Q probably likes to run look, if you can't get one guy in right field that does that, can you get a platoon of Grichuk? And it doesn't have to be a straight platoon where only one of those guys is in the lineup, but there may be a time to where, that there may be a time where they're both in the lineup, or it could be that, hey, the number 7 spot is the right fielder today. And if that's Yaz or if it's Grichuk, depending on who's on the mound, that's the guy who's batting 6th or 7th, and we're calling it a day. And that's just who it's going to be moving forward. And
Yaz leadoff instead of India. He's 366 versus righties.
If it's just simply versus righties, yeah.
It's interesting.
Told you it was a trick question. My bad.
What?
I got you guys.
Yeah,
I'm shocked at the Giants allowing him to ever face a lefty.
Well, they were supposed to have Arar Encarnacion to begin the year, and he was banged up. He was going to be somebody they could. They've just had a plethora of injuries out there in the outfield.
It's on my fantasy team.
Mm-hmm.
I took a chance on him. We'll see, but he's been out all year.
Because traditionally they have pretty much used him as a platoon. He's been a pretty good right fielder out there, which is a tough right field to play with.
That's his main
McCovey
position.
Cove right there and Levi's Landing. But no, it's a great pickup for them to just lengthen out the lineup a little bit. And we all know that in baseball you'll see more righties than you do lefties. So the good news is there's also going to be games in which Grichuk gets in there to play left maybe, or he DHs and Yaz is in right. I'd rather have Yaz's defense in right over Grichuk's. But that's because you don't have a true left fielder right now. When Kaggs comes back, I believe you don't even need to worry about it. You just DH Kaggs all the time. There's no need to play him in right field when you've got 2 right fielders on the team.
Because you're not going to play Maley the way that you did for me.
No.
So I was going to play a lot more catcher.
Your DH should be way more open than it was before.
Yes, and to have that flexibility, it works out well for Q. And these two bats are league average, something the Royals have just not had all season long. And they get 3 righties in Toronto. There's probably going to be a night where it's Grichuk and Yaz both in the lineup. And I went back and looked at this yesterday. Back on May, let's call it May 20th, they had 2 bats that were above league average in terms of OPS plus. That was Garcia and Bobby Witt Jr. If they were tonight, for example, to play Grichuk and Yaz against, I believe, Kevin Gossman's throwing for Toronto, they will have 6 bats that are above league average or exactly league average over what they had 3 months ago.
And what it also gives you is the opportunity that late in the game, if you've got a tough lefty out there on the mound and Yaz is up and they've got a guy sitting out there on the mound no, this is our guy we're going with here, and Yaz is up, and you go, well, yeah, we're going to go get Greichik. So do you want to stay with your lefty? Or when we get Greichik, are you going to take that lefty out to pitch against Greichik and bring in a righty? Or Grichuk, bring in a righty against him? It's your choice. So you can stay with your lefty, but we've now got somebody that's going to mash, that's hitting really well against lefties in this platoon. So now, and we've got professional at bats, so we can go get Adam Frazier, lefty. I'm not saying that, but just if Yaz and Grichuk are in the game, and Grichuk is up and they bring in a righty, okay, well, Adam Frazier is going to give us a professional at bat, so we can go and get him as well. That you're not going and saying, all right, MJ, be a left-handed bat, go help out. Grichuk is out. We're going to bring in MJ. No, we're going to bring in a guy that's going to give you professional at bat. The nice piece of hitting derby that Adam Frazier might win every year. Oh, look at that. Just softly into left center. What a great hit for him. That's 2 points, actually. That counts as 2. Schwarber hit 500. That's only 1 home run. Soft hit into left field right between right in the Bermuda Triangle, right in that little circle. It's 2 points for him. You got to land it right in that hula hoop.
That would be really fun.
That would be fun, dude.
Like, in basketball, I had the chest pass. You got to make it in the hoop. In football,
a bunt.
The quarterback.
You have to drag bunt it.
Oh yeah.
You got to drag bunt it to a certain spot.
Luis Ariz would do so well.
That would be great. That would actually. I actually would enjoy that.
I would watch it.
But I think that's why I gave him a B, and that's probably why you gave him an A, Jack. Is I think Q has more to work with now, and they didn't mortgage the future to say, oh, we're going to go for it. If they don't make the playoffs this year, I don't think they did anything crazy because they did re-sign and extend Lugo, which is really a part of this. You can throw in Lugo, Frazier, Grichuk, Bergert, Kolak, Yastrzemski, and Bailey Falter is everybody that they acquired or had post-trade deadline that you didn't know they were going to have before they started making some of these moves. Seth Lugo certainly being one of them. So they've got a good rotation, it looks like, in depth for next year. We'll take a timeout. I want to hear from J.J. Piccolo. He talked about the pitching. He talked about how difficult the Freddie Fermin trade was, the commitment from ownership, updates on Cole Reagans, things like that. We'll hear from J.J. Piccolo coming up on the other side of the break. More Zone next. Simmons, Nico Remigio. Let's hear from J.J. Piccolo. You know the old adage in baseball is once you have enough pitching, you should get more. And so, I mean, it's like true. Like, you know, the Royals don't need pitching this trade deadline. Well, the Royals went out and got a decent amount of pitching this trade deadline because they needed it. You don't know that you need it until you need it. So you always need more. You can never have enough. Here's J.J. Piccolo weighing in on that never-ending battle to have enough pitching in baseball.
Did you think a few months ago you were going to have to trade for 3 pitchers?
No, I didn't think that a week ago. I didn't think that a week ago. But, you know, we would have looked for starting pitchers. I mean, that is always, you know, on your list of things because everything begins and ends with starting pitching. And as we were making these trades today, I was sitting overlooking our field and I'm watching Michael Lorenzen throw a live BP and I'm excited that he's getting back on the mound. So you can never have enough starting pitching. You can never have enough depth in your system. Just look at the injuries all around the game. You know, we dodged a huge, I don't know if we dodged a bullet. We were just very fortunate last year to run 5 guys and maybe say 6 with once we got Lorenzen and we messed around with Marsh a little bit to rest him. But that doesn't happen that often. I mean, having more and more bullets is really, really important. And, you know, I think when we look at where we are right now with a healthy Chris Bubich next year and a healthy Cole Reagans and hopefully a healthy Marsh, and now you add these arms into the mix, you know, I don't want to say we're not going to do anything this offseason with starting pitching, but it's certainly not going to be a priority unless we are unfortunate over the last 55 and lose a couple of these guys. But I hopefully, you know, we can knock on wood here that we can go into the offseason, focus on other things, and know that the depth of our starting pitching, especially, you know, that's not even counting the guys we have in our system. You know, the guys that are, you know, starting to move through the system that are getting closer. We want more and more and more starting pitching any way we can get it, and we'll continue to do that.
The thing that was interesting there that I heard is when he was talking about what it allows them to do, what they did here in July, was go into the offseason and not have to worry about pitching.
Yeah.
Because starting next year, already and under contract, you've got 7 guys that you feel like you would trust out there on the mound. Reagans, Waka, Lugo, Bubich, Noah Cameron, Ryan Bergert, Alec Marsh, and that's not even including Kolek, whatever you might get out of him. So those are guys that have, outside of Bergert, guys that have started, pitched for you, have seen success, and if somebody goes to the mound, you know to a degree what to expect or what you can manage around. And Bergert might, you know, be number 6 there. Might be number 5. Who knows what happens with them. And so you go into this offseason and you go, Lugo under contract, Waka under contract, Reagans under contract, Bubich with 1 year to go. If he was fully healthy, that might have given you the opportunity to move Bubich.
Yeah.
If he didn't have this injury to finish the season on the IL. If he finishes the season finishing top 5 in the Cy Young, and you're like, you know what? We got Noah Cameron. We just traded for Bergert. Kuderna's coming along, so maybe that's the next wave of pitchers that maybe we do have this opportunity to move Bubich and sign Reagans. And let's say we get back from Chris Bubich with this full season with that particular team. It's not a trade deadline acquisition rental player. But what it does is allows them to have the cost control. You know what your payroll is going to be next year, and you can focus on bats because the guys you traded for are expiring contracts in Frazier and Grichuk and Mike Yastrzemski. So now you can focus on what your outfield is going to be. Where's Jack going to play next year?
Yeah.
Is he going to be your right fielder or is he going to be your DH? Are you going to have a good enough catcher to where Salvi needs to play DH or first base enough that you have a catcher that's good enough that you don't just simply have somebody there because Salvi's got to have a day off and that's going to be a hole in the lineup? Freddie Fermin served that purpose. Fermin was a really good player and did a lot for this team. But you can focus on that part of it this offseason, which was probably going to be the focus anyway. But now it's the focus even where you don't have to worry about, all right, we got to go sign some guys for depth. You feel like organizationally, you're 7 or 8 guys deep with the addition of Kolek. I didn't even mention Bailey Falter.
Yeah.
There's 9. So you might have 9 guys deep with players that you feel like you feel good about. and not having to go get Rich Hill or Dallas Keuchel or Hatch or something like that in the middle of the season.
And that's, I think, the big talking point is not the 45-year-old, not Dallas Keuchel's not been good in 7 years. It's not going for Thomas Hatch. It's not going for, and that's not trying to be a knock on those guys. I'm not trying to take a shot, but when you're fighting for a playoff spot and you think you're a playoff team, signing a 45-year-old guy or a guy like Dallas Keuchel who's just trying to hang around and make a comeback, that's probably not going to be the answer. And again, when you had guys like Kyle Wright, who I was high on, I thought it was a good move. I like the process behind it. It hasn't worked. You took a shot on a guy who had a serious injury, and it's not happened the way you'd like. Obviously, Alec Marsh, injuries happen in the minors as well, even though you don't see them in the majors. You don't think about maybe the injuries that also happen in the minor leagues with starting pitchers. They do happen. And so, yeah, you've bolstered your depth, and you've raised the floor yet again. Again, I've loved all these moves, and you're right, as Piccolo talks about. It just really allows you to focus strictly on the offense and the holes there.
Well, I was just going to say, Sterling, you don't need to feel bad about saying, a 45-year-old, no disrespect to him. I mean, if we had...
Jack saying disrespect.
No, what he did was really cool. But if we had an 80-year-old man come in here and started working here, and you said, I need you to go cut up these audio clips for me to play today, would you give him that job?
Depends on how good he is.
Well, what did he used to be?
20, 30 years ago, new format now.
Are you taking a shot at my mom and my mom's co-host Max?
So he was
I would trust Max Floyd.
So what you're saying, he was doing reel-to-reel cut and splice and everything, and now
I do trust my mom and Max Floyd, Jack.
At the end of the day, it's a business about winning, and it's a business about getting better. And as cool as that was, the Royals understood that if you're going to try to convince everybody that you are trying to compete for a playoff spot, that couldn't happen for a third time. You couldn't run a guy back out. In some of the depth they had in AAA, that's exactly what it was. It was depth for AAA. And, from a sales standpoint, for ticket sales, it's cool for Storm Chasers fans to be like, oh, Rich Hill's pitching, or Dallas Keuchel's pitching. But for the big league level, it's a cold business, man. It's a business about winning, and if you're serious, they knew that they needed not just get one, not two, but three starters to make it through these final 53 games.
And Sterling, I was going to tell you with the trade deadline, we did get news this morning that we feel like you've done a lot for the station and in your role, but we think that you deserve a spot to be an everyday host.
Oh, yeah.
So we've actually moved you to Indianapolis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Indianapolis came calling. Middays in Indianapolis, they're like, look, this is a guy. So we got depth pieces, guys that are going to be able to run the board, do some things with Chiefs or go cover team games, something like that. For Lebo can be a fill-in host at different things.
Sure.
Wichita with Jack and stuff like that. So we're getting a few of those guys back, but we just think that what you've done here, we appreciate. But you're ready. We think you're ready.
Oh, I get a Cy Young?
And Indianapolis is pumped.
Pack your bags, Pete.
Yeah. Indianapolis has had a really bad midday, and they think you're ready to be the everyday host.
Nice.
So we've traded you there. We've appreciated the time that you've done here. It sucks to see you go, but we're happy for you.
Oh, okay.
Very happy for you. So
wow, nice.
Just let your wife know that you're heading to Indianapolis.
I feel like a twin right now.
Yeah.
I feel like a Minnesota twin.
No, you're Freddie for me. That's what it was. It was Freddie for me, right? You've been back and filled a good role. Not you specifically.
You couldn't send me to San Diego? I got to go to Indy? Come on.
We wanted to be realistic. Here's J.J. Piccolo's clip number 4. Here's J.J. Piccolo weighing in. This is about 3 minutes or so. It's really interesting stuff from J.J. talking about all the different aspects. But J.J. Piccolo weighing in on the Freddie Fermin trade coming together.
I will say that's an emotional thing because you've had Freddie since he was 20 years old. You watched him grind his way through the minor leagues. Nobody can outwork that guy. He was a perfect partner for Salvador Perez. Salvi mentored him in a way that he's ready to take over as a starting catcher somewhere. And he had a lot of value in the game. And this isn't new. The interest in Freddie is not new. That has been going on for the last year. I would say last trade deadline, this past offseason. Had we not traded Freddie today, we would have had a chance to trade him in wintertime if we chose to do so. But I will say on a personal note, I really enjoyed Freddie. I think we all did. But I am very happy for him that he's getting an opportunity to play and maybe play a larger role on a good team. And for San Diego, he was a target for them. They've always had an affection for Freddie. So we knew we had a starting piece. And of course, like we do with everything, you try to dance around it and go to other players. But they clearly had a need in the catching department that we could fill for them. The asking price for Freddie was steep, and a lot of teams walked away from anything that we would ask for Freddie, but San Diego didn't. It's two young starting pitchers, both have tremendous futures ahead of them. I don't want to speak for San Diego, but you get the vibe from them. That's why it took until today to get that done. You get the vibe from them that this was a difficult trade for both sides, which is what a good baseball trade should be. You're giving up players that you value, players that you trust, and they gave up two that I know they valued and trusted, and we gave up one that we really valued and trusted as well. So it was, I think I could say last night going to bed, I felt like it was better than 50-50 through some late conversations with San Diego. I felt like it might be here in the day, sometime during the day, preferred for it to be earlier in the day so we could move on to other things because it was two starting pitchers. I mean, San Diego was pretty busy today, so they had a lot going. So they had to have a lot of things fall in place before this happened. So it did, and we were able to execute the deal. So happy to get both players. I mean, it's going to be good for us. And as tough as that call is to Freddie, it's also, I think, welcoming for him to hear how valued he was and to know that you got two starting pitchers. If you just took the emotions out of it, the passion, the excitement you have for the players, and just say, can you get two starting pitchers for a catcher who right now isn't our number one catcher? You would do that trade over and over again. Just take the personal ties out of it. You would do it over and over again. So we think it made sense for both teams, and we want Freddie to do well for San Diego. And like I told him, let's play each other in the World Series, and that could be even better.
It sounds like from what J.J. Piccolo was saying there, not even sounds like, he said specifically the asking price was steep, but what it sounded like was the Padres had been talking to the Royals for a little bit about getting Freddie Fermin, and the asking price had been too much for them to make that move. Or maybe that wasn't number one on their list of things that they were going to move, so they needed to know what pieces were available to move for Freddie Fermin. And he said he went to bed last night, felt like it was better than 50-50. The Padres had a lot of moves that they had. They were very busy, so some things had to fall into place. But he said that you could tell their reluctance to move these guys, which is why it took until today to do that. Because if they had been willing to move those guys last week, the move might have been done last week.
Sure.
But last week, the asking price for Freddie Fermin was too steep for the Padres. Wednesday trade deadline, when everybody's making their moves, the asking price for Freddie Fermin is now palatable. It's the same from the Royals' perspective, because as you said, we could have traded him in the offseason. We could have kept Freddie going in the offseason, so they had the bargaining power. We don't have to trade Freddie Fermin. Are you kidding me? We're trying to make the playoffs this year. Freddie Fermin is a great handler of this pitching staff. We're going to lose something with this pitching staff with Freddie Fermin. We like Luke Maile, but he's not Freddie. That's why you like him. And we can move him in the offseason when we feel like it's going to be a transition from Freddie Wright to Carter. So we don't have to move him right now. This is the asking price, yes or no? We want Berger, we want Kolek. All right, let's do it. Last week, no, there's no urgency. This Wednesday, okay, we'll get it. Whereas the Rangers 2 years ago, the asking price for Chapman was at a level that they were like in June, we'll do it. We'll do it right now because we need Chapman for the next month rather than waiting till July to have him close. We'll reluctantly give up Reagans. We don't want to, but we probably would have done that July 31st anyway, so let's go ahead and do it right now and get the deal done. I like that JJ, it sounds like they stood firm and held to their guns that this is what it's going to take, and if not, we'll keep Freddie the rest of the way and we'll trade him in the offseason.
Love the strength of Piccolo. He basically said that. I took away that he's like, yeah, we fleeced the Padres. We fleeced them.
There have been some takeaways that there's a feeling of fleecing on
I
this
mean,
one.
even the very end
I feel
of
like that's to say the fleece, I feel like that's a shot at Freddie, and I don't want to feel like
Oh, no, okay, fair. The Royals, though, did get back a haul, especially when you break it down, when you take the personal aspects out of it, you get two starting pitchers for a backup catcher. When you break it down like that, you go, even if they are 4 or 5, or even if it's a 4 and a swing guy, Wow, that's a big haul for a backup catcher.
It really was, and more importantly, you got depth for next year and the year after that and the year after that, and you go back over the last 2 years, the Royals ran into the same issue. Not as much last year, but when Michael Wacha had the fractured foot, they said, who are we going to start? Well, I guess we can try Daniel Lynch, and that didn't work out well. There was a couple times they used an opener. They had Dan Altavilla opening one of the games. And eventually, they were able to skate by with impeccable health, really, in that rotation. I mean, you had Reagan's making over 30 starts. Lugo did. Wacha got close to 30. You were able to piece together a rotation, and that was your strength. This year, not so lucky, and that usually is what happens. Is you don't get perfect health from the same guys each and every year. Now, instead of wondering going into 2026, well, if Bubic gets hurt again or Reagan gets hurt, it's a no-brainer. Okay, well, then Berger's starting. Okay, then Kolic's starting. Okay, then Falter's starting. You've got 8 guys, probably 9 or 10 now that you think about it, with Alec Marsh coming back healthy. Maybe you can go out there and add another swing guy that you really don't need to. That's the beauty of this deal is you don't need to worry about bullpen. You don't need to worry about the rotation. You can go into the winter meetings this offseason and say, our only focus is adding offensive help, because that has been the glaring issue all season long, and we know that we're fine in the starting pitching department. To get 3 guys with 5 years of control, and all you gave up was your backup catcher, and then you also gave up, who am I missing here? You gave up a first base prospect who was in Quad Cities, and then you gave up a near 30-year-old 4A reliever.
Yep.
That's what it took to get 3 guys who have decent numbers this year, and they've got 5 years where you're not paying them as much.
Yep. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and continue rolling. Coming up at 11 o'clock, we'll hear from the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid, Drew Tranquil, Josh Simmons, Nico Remigio. We'll take a timeout, wrap up the hour. Coming up next. Division. They're 9.5 behind the Tigers, half game behind Cleveland. But, you know, Cleveland did not trade Stephen Kwan yesterday. There were a couple of names that were not traded. Alcantara, Edwin Cabrera, Luis Robert, Stephen Kwan, as I mentioned, were somewhat surprised that those guys were not traded. The White Sox mentioned that they would pick up the $20 million player option or club option that they have on Luis Robert. So if they don't trade him, then they'll keep him another year and then trade him next year if that comes to fruition. Alcantara still a year, team control. Cabrera, not expiring contracts, things like that. But the Royals behind the Cleveland Guardians, they lose Clase. Bieber's a guy that the Blue Jays are taking a chance on if he's going to be someone that they can, use in their rotation. So we'll see what happens with Cleveland, but I think the Royals can pass the Guardians. We'll see what they do with the Detroit Tigers, obviously in their division, but I was really surprised at what the Tigers didn't do yesterday. That Kyle Finnegan, adding him to the bullpen, is fine, but if you just look at one aspect of these two teams, Royals and Tigers, and I don't think the Royals are going to catch the Tigers, but Royals and Tigers are looking at one aspect of it. When that bullpen door opens up in the 7th, 8th, or 9th, is there anybody for the Tigers that runs out and the opposing offensive lineup goes, oh, bleep, this guy's coming on to the mound? Royals have Harvey, Irsay, Cruz at times. Estevez, people aren't comfortable with Estevez in the 9th, but he's getting the job done. But they've got, Cruz, Harvey, and Irsay at least, if you're talking about sort of nasty stuff. Strikeout guys that come out of the bullpen. When that bullpen gate opens up and it's like, all right, well, let's get the scout on this guy because holy bleep, you're not going to be comfortable. The Tigers don't have swing and miss guys in their bullpen, and they went and got a guy that's not a swing and miss guy. A guy that's got experience closing, but not a swing and miss guy. I was surprised that they didn't do more to say, we're going to try to win it this year. And then to have, the conversation after of, well, we sold last year, and we've been the best team in baseball since then. Okay, great. You went as far as the Royals did last year. Let's see how far you go this year. You weren't in a championship series, right? It was Cleveland and the Yankees, right, last year. It was Cleveland and Yankees. That's right, because Big Christmas had the big home run there.
Big Christmas?
Yes, Noel.
Kenzie Noel.
Oh, I didn't know that was his nick. That's great.
It's a great nickname. Yeah, so he had that Big Christmas had that big home run. But I was surprised that the Tigers didn't go, let's capitalize. And then to say, our window is not Tariq Skubal. Our window is our entire organizational depth. Because he was asked about, you got Skubal one more year. Why not the plan to go more aggressive to try to win it? And his response was, we don't have a Tariq Skubal window. We have an organizational window. Okay, just say we're not signing Tariq Skubal long term.
Yeah.
Just say we're not going to sign Tariq Skubal long term, and we're not going all in for 1 year because we're going to trade Skubal next year. Although you could go all in for 1 year this year and then trade Skubal next year and replenish what you lost. I was just really surprised at what the Tigers didn't do, what the Red Sox didn't do, what the Rangers didn't do, what the Rays didn't do. That's who the Royals are essentially chasing. Can the Royals go 34-19?
Well, they can.
I mean, I guess they can, yeah. 34-19, because that would get them to 88 wins. 32-21 would get them to 86 wins, which was the wild card last year.
Didn't we say about 84 is what we thought originally?
So then that would be 29-23.
I think it's changed a little bit. I think 84 was the target we had.
No, that'd be that's right. They got 54 wins right now, so it'd be 54. So they'd be 30 wins the rest of the way to get to 84.
That's probably not going to do it anymore. Seattle getting better. Boston, though.
But again, I don't think they're chasing Seattle. I think Seattle's gone. I think what Seattle did, they're going to pull away from the Royals. They're
so
not
you're chasing Boston.
You're chasing Boston. You're chasing Boston. I think it's Boston, Texas, Kansas City, throw in Cleveland and Tampa for one wild card spot.
So you're 4.5 games behind Boston right now.
Because what the Yankees did, and the fact that the Blue Jays have a decent enough lead over the Red Sox and the Yankees, that I think the Blue Jays are still going to win the East. But the Yankees got much better. They went and added pieces and arms to that bullpen that they didn't have trust in that bullpen.
Yeah.
Where the Red Sox added Steven Matz and Dustin May. Okay. And the Rangers added Merrill Kelly and Danny Colomé.
Well, we do have to be fair. The Red Sox did not trade Duran because that would have been a big difference.
Yeah. But, I mean, the Red Sox are a team that is 4.5 games up on the Royals with Duran in the lineup.
Yeah.
And they added Matz and Dustin May, and that's really it. While the Yankees really went in to solidify. The Blue Jays, I was surprised that Dominguez and Varland in the bullpen, they took a flyer on Bieber. But you're leading the East. You go out and you sign Santander in the offseason to say, we're going to be serious contenders in 2025. Then when you are, you shy away from making an actual, real, impactful move, and you have some peripheral additions and you throw a dart at Shane Bieber. It was a little surprising from Toronto that I felt like Toronto would be more the Seattle type of, we're going for it. We're pushing our chips into the table, and we're going for it. The Twins folded. The Twins looked at their hand and were like, we're just going to fold.
Wow.
In fact, can we just go ahead and cash out? We're done actually here being at the table with everybody else. We're just ready to cash out and get up and leave.
Excuse me, sir. You've lost all your money. You have nothing to cash out. You actually owe us.
Yeah,
the Twins actually do. They owe money.
But I still want to leave the table.
Yeah.
Because somebody's going to buy this seat.
You are going to get escorted out right now, sir.
Somebody's buying this seat from me since they are worried about their ownership, which is what they did. They went and sold so many pieces because they're trying to sell their organization.
You feel bad for the GM, too, because the GM's like...
for the fans.
Well, the fans first and foremost, but if you're that GM, you're sitting here going, everyone knows we're selling.
players.
Everyone knows what we're doing. We're not going to get max value back. If you're the GM, you're basically just sitting there until you get canned.
They traded 45% of their roster yesterday.
What, 12, 11 guys?
11 guys.
Yeah.
Correa, Duran, Jax, Castro, Colomé, Stewart, Bader, Varland, France, Paddock, Dobnik. Correa, Duran, Jax, Castro, Colomé, Stewart, Bader, Varland, France, Paddock, Dobnik all traded yesterday for the Twins. I mean, that's a fire sale that I don't know that we've ever seen before. It looks like Drew Tranquill will not talk today. Drew Tranquill left practice in the cart. Did anybody see any Twitter updates on the front seat, back seat on Drew Tranquill?
Everyone knows front seat, okay. Back seat, danger.
Yeah. Front seat, passenger in the golf cart.
Okay.
Matt Derrick tweets out, Drew Tranquill was slow to get up after a play during the final team period. Later went up to the facility as a front seat passenger in the golf cart. Says we'll get an update from Andy Reid momentarily. Yeah, we'll see what Andy Reid says about Drew Tranquill and what the latest is with him. But so we'll hear from Andy Reid. We will hear from Josh Simmons. and we'll hear from Nico Remigio. I'm interested to hear how Josh Simmons sounds today, because Simmons comes off to me as, I'm not really here to get you guys to like me. I don't really care if you like me. I'm kind of just straight and to the point, pretty serious, all right? I don't want to say like not an AH attitude, but where Trey Smith is like a big teddy bear off the field, and on the field he's just a jerk, and is looking to finish every block and crush you and crush your spirit. Josh Simmons, I think, may just carry around he and Ashton Gelati going back and forth, throwing Gelati to the ground. He may just carry around that sort of bleep you mentality constantly with him. I don't know him from Adam, but the couple times we've heard him talk, there's been sort of a serious, I'm just going to get to the point. You guys done? Cool. See ya. I'm out. Yeah. This is what I'm doing. This is my job. I'm here talking. This is what I'm supposed to do. Here's what's going on at OTAs, minicamp. Here's the knee, whatever. We haven't heard him at training camp yet. So I'll be interested now that it feels like he's the starting left tackle. You've been getting all the reps at one. You're more used to camp a couple of weeks in. You know what to expect maybe on a daily basis now more than you did 2 weeks ago. You're not sort of swimming or drowning. You're not drowning, you're swimming, right? You're understanding what to expect. We'll see what I just think he may be a guy that his mentality on the field is sort of the same way he sort of carries himself off the field, which could be just straight to the point business and, whatever. Where we know like Creed and Trey are sort of lovable when they're at the podium. Creed is, and
Chris Jones too for being Chris Jones has half and half.
Yeah, Chris Jones sometimes is sort of like tired or sleepy. Chris Jones,
Chris,
and then sometimes there's excited fun. I want that sack. Listen. I don't mind. He got that sack. I want that sack. I don't care about the numbers, but I want that sack. I mean, Trey Smith, very big teddy bear. We'll see what Simmons has to say. Nico Remigio, a guy fighting for a spot.
Yeah.
Clearly the best punt returner on the team, according to Dave Tobe. But remember, you had a pounding table last year that you were using.
The Dave Tobe
pounding table.
Yeah.
In the table
Forgot about that.
The table that he would pound for Nico Remigio, and it didn't matter because Nico didn't make the squad. Even though Dave Tobe said, I'm going to be pounding the table for Nico Remigio. And our conversation there was, we looked at it from both angles. If Dave Tobe is pounding the table for Nico Remigio, that means two things to me. And we talked about it, and I think we got it right. It means that Dave Tobe, sometimes he gets his guy, and he may want Nico Remigio to be his guy. But if Remigio were on the team, Dave Tobe wouldn't have to pound the table for him to be on the team.
Correct.
Which means that he's on the outside looking in from Andy Reid's perspective, and Dave Tobe may have to use his get-out-of-jail-free card, or this is my special teams guy that I want on the roster, in which he didn't use on Nico Remigio. I don't know who he used it on, but
sure.
Remigio didn't make the 53-man roster last year. So we read that correctly, that Tobe really likes him, but he was on the outside looking in with Andy Reid. Seeing him in games maybe as a punt returner, maybe he's on the inside looking out, but there seems to be a lot of excitement around Tyquan Thornton.
I think he has a better chance, especially with Rice getting suspended. If Rice gets suspended, then I think Remigio is pretty clearly on the
then
roster.
It's 3 guys for 2 spots.
Three guys for 2.
For 1 spot.
Yes, correct. So even without, I think Remigio probably is still the front runner. As great as Tyquan Thornton has looked, that's your job as the 6th wide receiver is to be a special teamer. You're not going out there and catching deep balls from Patrick. You're just not, unless you're going to say that Royals is now going to be your special teamer, basically, which I don't really see transpiring. So I guess that's where I'm from, is whoever's the best on special teams. I know we're enamored by Thornton. I am enamored by Thornton as well, or at least intrigued by Thornton. If you're not the special teams guy at wide receiver 6, then you're probably not making the roster. Him speaking, I think, is a good sign for him, maybe as the front runner still. I think if you're the front runner, you are going to do these podiums. Has Thornton Thornton
I don't
has.
think we've heard from Taekwon Thornton yet at the podium.
So, and maybe that means nothing, but I do
Unless
think
there's a Saturday or Sunday that we weren't on the air doing.
Yeah.
And I just don't remember reading any quotes or anything from him.
But I guess
Sounds
to me, I guess that's a good sign. If you're speaking, that typically means that you have a better chance. You're not going to hear from a lot of guys that probably aren't making the roster.
And I think you're not going to hear from a lot of guys that aren't in the mix of making
Sure,
the roster.
fair.
So he's definitely in the mix of making the roster. And we'll see. And Josh Simmons looks like he's the starting left tackle on this team. And we'll hear from him today. They're huddling up right now in St. Joe. But again, Drew Tranquil left practice early today. Not really early. It was the last team period. The final team period was a play that took place, and Drew Tranquil was slow to get up. Other sort of, I'm excited about Jeffrey Bassa, and looking forward to what he can do. He's had a couple of plays today. Matt McMullen tweeted out that Bassa with a leaping INT during 7-on-7 today. I don't know who that was against, but still showing off his athleticism that's out there. So we'll hear from the Chiefs. We saw NFL football last night, I think. Your guy Trey Lance out there playing well, playing great football. We saw Marion Hampton for 5 plays. Last night on the opening drive for the Chargers, we saw a guy for the Lions fumble the opening kickoff. We saw another Lions punt returner muff a punt, and both of those being turnovers. I think Dan Campbell's probably a guy that's okay with special teams miscues. But again, it's the Hall of Fame game. Those guys are not going to be on rosters, in a couple of weeks. That's kind of sort of understood with last night. Now, next week when we get into that, the first couple drives, we'll see more and more of the guys that, we understand will be a part of it. And we'll see how the Chiefs utilize their guys coming up 8 days from now. 8 days from now, the Chiefs will be playing a football game. Preseason or not, 8 days from now, the Chiefs will be putting on football pads and helmets and playing a football game, which is crazy to think about. Things just continue to fly by, and it doesn't feel like outside that it should be a preseason game. It actually feels like outside we should be getting ready for week 1. It's like 75 degrees. I did something this morning for the first time in like 2 weeks. I was able to breathe outside without an oxygen mask. We were able to walk outside and, what is this? Well, excuse me, at Tahoe I was able to do that.
like it. I'm fine with 100, baby.
You're dumb.
No, I'm fine with 100.
You're dumb. It doesn't change.
Some
the fact.
like it hot, and some sweat when the heat is on. Power Station told us that.
They did, yes. I would rather it be 25, 30 degrees than what it's been, than what it was on Tuesday.
Gross.
No. Give me 30 degrees than Tuesday.
Grow up.
Every day. I am grown up. Yes, I'm not a child
I
that's going
can
to be
take
hanging out
clothes
next to
off,
the pool.
not put clothes on. Thank you very much.
Can you? That's actually the exact opposite argument, but I like how you went that route
You
there.
like that?
I can get naked. I'd rather get naked than actually put more clothes on.
Correct.
What do I look like, a child to you?
Yeah, I will go Michelangelo's David if I have
As
to.
you should. Michelangelo's Sterling. That was the original name for it, but they went with David.
It was a weird switch. Last minute
It was
change.
odd. Yes. Sterling. Is it a medal? You're right. Let's go David. Let's go with David on this one.
Jack, you want to add to that?
30 or feels like of 110 where you can't breathe?
I like fall weather the best.
Okay, 30.
No. We don't get to choose
30 or
the
100 then?
65. Yeah, it's 30 or
No,
100.
fall weather would be like 40 to 50.
Yeah, but no, that's not our
So
question.
just 20 to 30? Oh,
It's 30?
definitely 20 to 30.
Thank you.
Oh,
yeah,
dude.
yeah, definitely. Not even
Wrong.
close.
Where's Mick when I need him?
100 here in Kansas
Thank you.
is like a wet blanket
Yes.
and just
Ichiro said
suffocating.
something about it.
Yeah. And that's the day one.
Take your
August.
socks off.
On Tuesday, Ichiro was describing what Tuesday was Ichiro's description. It's like 2 rats bleeping in a wool sock.
Well, take the wool sock off. There's your issue.
Yeah, but it still feels like the 2 rats bleeping. It's terrible,
man.
It's terrible. There was nothing okay about Tuesdays. This is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
It's a great day. I'm not going to complain about this.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And I will drop the temperature 40 degrees rather than raise it 25.
Wrong.
Yeah, I'm right.
You're wrong.
I'm right.
I need Mick here.
Why?
Also, 100
To be wrong,
is
too?
deadly. 20 to 30 can't be deadly.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Deadly awesome.
Yeah.
If
See-
you're by a body of water.
Yes.
But if I'm not, I hate it.
Yeah.
Pool.
What if I don't have access to a pool?
Find one.
It's not that easy.
See, it's the people
Pop
that,
open a fire hydrant. Come on, I don't know.
Yeah, that's legal though. You know that if you just pop open a fire hydrant, it's totally
Don't
legal.
do anything I've said.
Stone says a hose.
A hose works, yeah. Run through the sprinklers.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Hose me down.
There's a lot of things that you can do.
Grown man running through the sprinklers.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
There's a lot of things that you can do, Sterling, but you understand how many different things you have to do as opposed to just putting on a coat.
Yeah, I don't want to do that though. My hands, maybe
I can either
gloves,
just put on a
a
coat,
scarf.
or I could get down to my skivvies, go lay next to a pool, get in the pool,
Yeah, that's what's
run
awesome.
through a sprinkler,
Are you not a pool guy?
not really, get arrested for opening up the fire hydrant.
Well, I saw Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They did it.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I feel like if they do it, I can do it.
That's a good point. Yeah, whatever they do, you can absolutely do. That is correct. I scoff at the notion, right? I object to the notion when people go, would you rather it be 100 or 0? No, that's not the comparison. Because the average temperature isn't 50. Okay, so what's the average temperature? The average temperature is like, 60, 70 degrees. Or what's the average temperature in January or February versus the average temperature in July or August, and you go up or down based
Here
on
we
that.
go. What's the
It ain't
worst
100
month?
or 0.
February. Why? Because it's cold.
Or late July, early August.
No, this is the best.
It's not the best. It is not the best. Even if you don't think it's the worst, it sure as heck ain't the best.
Royals, ball. What's going on?
I believe February is probably the worst sports month because after the Super Bowl, all you have is
Yeah.
the end of college basketball, and it's not even in like the best part of college basketball.
I will tell you the February, I agree, would be the worst because February is not only the temperature being cold, but it also just feels so dreary and overcast constantly.
Always.
So-
American Pie. Don Henley said it best.
Yeah.
February made me shiver.
With every paper that I delivered, it was bad news on the doorstep. I couldn't take one more step. I wish somebody would take a step to the podium. I can't remember if I cried when Andy Reid was walking up that hill.
Andy's walking. We know that.
Something touched me deep inside the day the left tackle battle died. Thank God. It's no
yeah.
longer a battle at left tackle. That's good. We don't have to talk about that. That's at least the hope because it's all fixed, right?
It's all fixed.
They found their Hall of Famer. How many years from now will Josh Simmons be giving his speech tomorrow? 20?
22.
22 years from now, so 17 years in the league. First ballot
17
Hall of
years.
Famer.
Yeah, 17.
All right, here comes Andy Reid heading to the podium in just a little bit. Still walking to the tent. Walking, moseying. Oh, now he's sashaying. Look at that. That's
He's
fun.
dancing?
That's fun. A little sidestep. All right, there we go. Look at him. A little karaoke.
Is that a tango, Andy?
Andy doing a little karaoke move over there. Some calisthenics for Andy. Oh, good. Oh, is that a front roll? Look at him, Andy Reid.
A handstand?
Now he's walking on his hands. He's walking on hands now to the podium. Andrew Reid, not Justin.
YouTube is taking their time to put the stream up.
Well, what about, do we not have our? Oh, good to know. Great, grand, wonderful. That's good. Why would we? Here's Andy.
We had Jake Brianstool still out, Marquise Brown out, Deion Bush is out, Kristen Fulton's out, Sky Moore was out. And then Tranquil hurt his back, so he just strained his back a little bit, and it was really almost a non-contact thing. So we'll just get him taken care of. Let's see who else I can tell you about. Xavier Worthy. So Xavier's it ended up not being a concussion. We had both the NFL involved with the clearing and our docs, and he's got a little liquid. He had a little liquid in his ear, and they took care of that, and it was throwing his equilibrium off just a bit. So that's a positive thing. But other than that, the guys worked hard, done a nice job. Today they caught a break with the weather, nice and cool for them. They're flying around, and it was good to see both sides of the ball making plays. Great competition going on. When you do that, you're going to start improving, man. That's the objective in this thing. Get better, a little bit better every day. So that time's yours.
You sense a better energy when the temperatures are like this?
Well, yeah. I mean, you guys are, you're more lively. There is. I mean, yeah. You know how it goes. I mean, when it's hot, you're pushing through. That's a tough thing, but being out there 2.5 hours or so, and in the sun and heat, and it can be a little rough. Practice is rough anyways. Now that you add the heat into it, and it's even tougher. Yeah.
Andy, I know you love describing yourself as a teacher. Just what you're trying to teach Kingsley day after day, just knowing that he's going up against Chris, obviously, one of the best defensive tackles.
Yeah, that's gonna make you great, right? So every day you can get better, and he's doing that. He's battling. They talk. He and Chris talk. Chris got a ton of respect for him. He knows how good he is, and so they work it. And then they were going back and forth today. You know, he had some good ones. Chris had some good. Well, they're getting better. That makes each other better. Competition.
You got guys rotating on the offensive line. What does that do for you when you can see guys play different positions?
Yeah, it gives you flexibility. So if somebody gets hurt, you plug a guy in. You only can adjust so many on game day. So you want to make sure you got some guys that can kind of move around a little bit. Whether it's a guard playing center, center playing guard, tackle playing guard. If you're lucky enough, you might get one that plays all three. So all three spots.
Going back to Kingsley, that's the rookie year he did, and that's how much of it's just trying to rebuild his confidence, or do you feel like he was already there?
Yeah, he's been on a mission since he got back. I mean, he's been pretty focused in on that. I think he likes that spot, and he's sure taken to it well. And he's willing to work. That's never been his issue, man. He comes out and he works his tail off. So we've been happy with what we see. We've got to keep going, but powerful kid.
What have you learned so far about Josh Davis now you've gotten this portion of the offseason?
Yeah, first of all, he's getting a lot of reps, which I think is important for a rookie. So he's been in there and consistently showing up every day and working, and not taking plays off or anything. But he's a worker. I mean, he's willing to do it. It's just a matter of you got to keep on going. But he's done a nice job with what we've asked him. He's working on all the fundamentals and techniques. So that's a challenge for him.
Nico Remigio, we're about to catch up with just that battle there with the long receivers trying to make the roster. What do you see as kind of the nature of those guys and how impressive you've been with some of those guys at the bottom?
Yeah, he's very competitive. Yeah, so and they're all competing like crazy for 6 or 7 spots is what you're looking at. So they're in there battling their tail off to make one of those positions, and Remigio's doing that. I know you know him, and you know how competitive a kid he is. Everything he does, he's competitive. So now he has that punt return thing that goes into his favor. But we've got some other guys that are fighting for that too, that spot.
When you get down to those final decisions, how much of it ends up being, hey, this player's going to make the team because they play this position, and then they can do special teams? How much of there is also, wait a minute, this kid is a good special teams player, he needs to make the team song?
Yeah, so I tell the guys that, that some of the guys are going to make it because of special teams. Every year you get 1 or 2 guys that are on your team because of special teams, and maybe they lack a little bit compared to somebody else in the position, but they just excel on special teams. So Toad can have develop a core group in there. 4 phases is what he'll say. So you want to find those guys and try to keep them if you can.
Coach, speaking of special teams, have you got a handle personally on the new kickoff rules and how do you think it's going to affect things?
Yeah, I was checking that out yesterday in that game, and it's going to be interesting. There's some things. If your kicker can place the ball on kickoffs, man, you're asking a lot of those fielders there, and it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it all works. But curious to see. We're fortunate at that Bucker. I think when it comes to this type of thing.
And I'm sure you were relieved with the Xavier thing that it was only this. Can you take it for the last couple of days trying to figure out exactly what was going on?
Yeah, no, listen, he wanted to get back in. He kept saying, I don't feel like I have a concussion. But you got to go through the protocol of it. And so, then they got him up there and examined him, and, it was what I said, so with the liquid in the ear. But I know that can throw you off balance, and that's where he was at. But he was convinced he didn't have one all along. But that's all right. I mean, we were cautious with it, and we're always going to do that.
Obviously, good news for you guys with receivers such as are out. You can hit that immediately.
Yeah, you want numbers at that spot. You need legs, and we play a lot of those guys, 3 at a time normally. So you need all the legs to get through practice.
And what kind of role are you seeing from Rashid Rice in this camp, in and off the field?
Yeah, well, he's done a nice job. He's done a nice job off the field. He's doing a nice job on the field. You know, he's sometimes you learn from your mistakes. You know, that's the important part. So all of that, and then on the field, he's just been full speed ahead. Yeah. No pun intended.
I didn't even think about the pun until he said that. No pun intended. Whoa, Andy Reid with the he's dropping some one-liners there. That was asked about Rashid Rice. What has he learned on and off the field? And he said, on the field, full speed ahead, doing the things that he does off the field. Learn from mistakes. But then at the end, he said, on the field, it's been full speed ahead. No pun intended.
He's in a good mood today. Andy was in a good one.
75 degrees outside.
I love it because the players got a nice, not day off, but he basically said, it's easy today because of the weather.
Because of the weather, and you guys aren't as ornery. Here's Nico Remigio.
Yeah, I mean, that's just who I am. Kind of just my makeup, how I've been developed, how I've been raised. It has always revolved around competition, and the only way to get to this point is to be a competitive guy and to know how to compete and how to bounce back, and yeah, I mean, that's just who I am. This is my first time hearing that, so I take it with a grain of salt. I think the thing that I've learned with this business is that if you get too comfortable, you're gonna get got. And I worked too damn hard to get to this point in my career, to get to year 3, to let it slip through my fingers. So, really I approach every day like I'm an undrafted rookie that barely got a shot to make it to the NFL, and I'm scratching and clawing to just get an opportunity.
Is that what's going to remind you on a day like if I could Tuesday where Hollywood has an injury, Xavier has an injury for a little bit, you get thrown in with more reps and obviously 100 degrees outside. Is that what you have to, is that what you have in reserve to dig deep in moments?
Definitely. I think, Coach Reid talks a lot about during training camp you're going to have to get to a dark place. And that dark place resembles the space in your head that you're going to have to get to in the AFC Championship, in the playoffs, when you're down in the Super Bowl. And, there's a lot that goes into that. And like you said, knowing my story, the journey that it took for me to get here, and I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. And it's always going to be a driver and a motivator for me.
That day it looked like several times you're coming off the field really struggling. Oh, yeah. Is that sort of what's pushing through the back and all that? I got to keep going. I know you're and all that, but.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, there's not a lot going on in my head at that point in time. I'm just, you're kind of just flailing around all over the place. You're drenched in sweat. It's hot. Your skin is stinging because it's hot. And, I think those days, Coach Reid is intentionally trying to see and evaluate if you can still do your job in the most chaotic, frantic of times with the most extreme circumstances. And so that's what I know that's going on in the back of my mind is, can I still score a touchdown? Can I still catch the ball? Can I still square up a punt in the most extreme conditions? Because when we get to the playoffs, when we get to the championship, that pressure is a whole nother level.
How hard was it to keep going a couple of those times when you were barely getting off the field?
I talked to my family about it and my wife about it, but I feel like my threshold for stress and like extreme circumstances has been pushed so much further. And, I kind of compare it to last year where training camp was the epitome of that for me. That was the furthest I had gone up until this point in my career. And, obviously got cut, put on practice squad. And after that point, I played in the playoffs, I played in the championship, I played in the Super Bowl. So just your ability to tolerate and tolerate stress, and I think it kind of just, highlights just growth and maturity for myself, not only as a player, but just as a man, like my ability to just push through hard things.
Have you approached this offseason and this camp different after having that experience last year of actually getting on the field with the team in NFL games?
I wouldn't say I approach camp any differently. I'd say that there's a little bit more comfortability, just having more familiarity with the offense. I think the last time I spoke to you guys, it was figuring out what Pat wants and how the difference that is from how they install the offense. And now I feel like I'm kind of at the point where, okay, what are my strengths in this offense? How can I find space? How can I manipulate the defense? How can I manipulate the defender within the scheme of the offense and stay on Pat's timing? And I'd say that would be the biggest difference for me in this camp.
What's the endpoint in that career, but pinpoint all that when you're down in Dallas working out with Pat?
Routes on air is a different feeling. It's really hard to emulate that, and the only way to really get that feel is to be in a competitive, live situation where, you got everybody out there on the field. You got the defense moving around, the safety slowing in the back, all the movement. You need that movement to be able to feel it.
Like you said, you're year 3. It's a very young receiver group. And then you got guys like Mac that I know you were friends with State for a year. What's it like to have him back there and work with the young guys?
Man, it's so awesome. So Mac, actually, when I was at Cal, I think it was like my sophomore or junior year, Mac had attended a kids camp. And I was coaching Mac as like one of the college receivers helping out at the kids camp. And then I ended up transferring to Fresno State and was playing with him over there at Fresno State. And when I saw that he got signed here, man, it was like just such a cool full circle moment. And, man, he's doing his thing. And I'm just so happy to see him making plays at this level. And, it's not too big of a moment for him. And as somebody who kind of watched his growth and, from when he was a kid to playing with him as a teammate and now up here in the NFL, it's really such a cool opportunity.
Does it make you feel like a good teacher or just old?
I'm not old, man. I'm not old. Good.
Magdalena, who was part of the Chiefs roster there at camp, went to Fresno State, and apparently Nico was a player there at in college and was a little bit of a coach, and then played with him in Fresno State. Here's Josh Simmons.
Still stacking bricks, so just give me a little longer for that. Probably give you a estimate.
You got to fight through your first kind of long drive and that heat the other day. What was kind of your mindset? Is there a survival mode that just kind of gets at some point?
Yeah, definitely. But you also get it's health. It's the funnest thing you can do, competing against George Karloff, Mike Dana. So that competitive stamina just kind of wipes all that kind of tiredness away. So yeah.
Josh, I'm sure there's a lot you want to bring on all the time. People out here at camp. What's strong the bulk of your time in extension? So I'm sure there's a lot throughout your technique, everything you want to improve. What's strong the bulk of your attention time right now?
Right now is really understanding defenses. That way I can play a lot faster. If I can see a front and anticipate that they may do a stunt or a blitz or a DN might drop, then I can easily kind of help Kingsley communicate stuff like that. So. You'll never expect it, is what I can say. You'll never expect what he'll do out of front. So keeps me technically always on point. So.
Josh, was it good for you to have Andy and Castillo to really work on, I don't know if it's fundamentals or certain moves you want to do, but what have you sort of learned from those two guys right now?
Yeah, they put a plethora of just different pass sets, different hand movements in my toolbox. So it's the best resource any rookie can have. Just having that in your back pocket, asking after a pass rush, what did I do wrong here? How can I fix it? And then going to the next rep and then make those corrections. It's amazing.
Has there been a point so far in camp where you felt like there needed to be a problem, or you feel 100%?
As we speak, I haven't felt any issues with it yet. Neil Albatros is platinum standard, so I tip my hat off to that dude right there.
How nice is it to be back?
Really nice. Just playing football, time just slow. It's therapy. So I'm glad to be back.
So we have also ongoing single pass interviews, past
more just maintenance. You want to make sure your body's, recovering from these types of days. So I'm just more proactive with it than maybe most.
When you realize you're going to be able to fully participate, is there some days or moment that you knew you'd be ready for this sort of challenge in your rookie season?
It was more about how I felt. I knew I was putting in a lot of work at Ohio State with Stu, and then coming here, having Julie and Rick Knowles, I knew if I just showed up, put the work in, it was in the lineup perfectly.
Was it legitimately every day?
Every single day, sometimes 2 a day.
What did you want to say? I assume that's it. What did you want to say in the area as opposed to rehabbing someone else going during the mock break?
They know my body. I didn't want to go somewhere else, and then they have to kind of figure out my body, figure out, how does this work? Is he put stuff like that? They know that everything. Ohio State passes down to them, so I put my trust in them. So.
Tree Smith, even Jalen Moore, how to adjust to the pace of the NFL and the Ohio State, how they kind of help you adjust to the NFL, how fast it moves?
They've seen it all. They made the rookie mistakes, so they're trying to help me so I don't make them, or I'm at least ready for those welcome to the NFL moments. But it's just about the work you put in, asking them questions, even if it's something that I already know, just to confirm, hey, on this I should set like this or something like that. And yes, that's what you want to do. Just getting that kind of imprinted in my brain, that way I can play as fast as I can when I get out there.
All right, there's Josh Simmons again. We won't hear from Drew Tranquil. He left practice early. Andy Reid calling it a back issue that he non-contact back issue. He went up the carts in the front seat, so we'll see what happens with Drew Tranquil. But Josh Simmons, lighter, not weight-wise, not literally, but figuratively, lighter Josh Simmons press conference.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that. Maybe getting a little more comfortable, I didn't know what to expect in hearing from Josh Simmons because the couple of times we have, it's been sort of more straight to the point, well, this is the deal, this is what's going on. This was like, hey, I'm here, I'm working hard, getting used to it,
Did you hear the name omitted? Fun going up against Karlaftis, Mike Dana.
Oh, he didn't mention Gelati. Maybe it's not fun. Maybe Gelati is so good. He's so good, it's not fun going up against Gelati. He makes it really hard on me. So Karlaftis and Dana, that's the fun. It's really fun to compete versus those guys.
I just thought it was interesting. And it's probably a complete nothing burger, but it's August 1st, and so I'm going to start drama.
Hey, you know what? They can make each other better. Gelati can get better by going up against a guy that could have been a top 10 pick at left tackle. And hopefully Simmons getting better against a guy that could be really good in Ashton Gelati. That's going to work and work hard. So that'd be great. You get Karlaftis after this year because Dana's going to be there. So you get Karlaftis on one side, Gelati on the other, and you got yourself a Greek treat. You know what? Trademark that.
I liked it, and I hated that I liked it.
Trademark it. Lumberjack, jacked up, Karlaftis, and a little taste of Gelati. A little Greek treat for you. Here's a treat for us. We're going to take a break. Where's one? some of the things we heard from Andy Reid and Josh Simmons and Nico Remigio. Andy Reid saying that, again, Drew Tranquill left practice early with a back. Xavier Worthy was never.
Oh, I'm glad he has a back. That was if he didn't have a back, that's when I'd be concerned.
Herm Edwards. He's got a little bit of a knee.
Well, I'm glad he's got a knee.
He's got a foot. He's dealing with a foot right now.
He's got a little bit of a back. Oh, nice. So good. Okay, he has a back.
You play. Got a little bit of a foot. Andy Reid saying that Drew Tranquill has a back. My back is broken. Spinal.
All time.
Xavier Worthy, while they had to go through the concussion protocol, he did not have a concussion. Interesting hearing him say that Xavier Worthy the whole time was like, I don't have a concussion. But they had fluid in his ear, which was messing up his equilibrium. And let me tell you, as somebody that has dealt with vertigo a couple of times, that sucks.
Oh, I forgot about that one morning.
Oh, my God. Yeah, all day. Yeah.
Well, I remember you texted me, and you're like, I think I have vertigo. And I'm like
I've had little bouts of it before, like 45 to 2-minute stretches, right? That just every once in a while you do these different exercises laying down in the bed that, will even everything out, that anybody that's had to deal with it knows what those are. And it would not work for me. So from 4:30 in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon was just everything was spinning. That sucked. That was the worst. That was a terrible day. Anybody that's had to deal with it, and for that long, that sucked.
I'm so glad the Chiefs though took the cautionary approach. I mean, I think that's something to be applauded, at least, even though it wasn't a concussion. He's saying it's not a concussion. At least you held him out and didn't try to rush him.
Yeah, how good is Xavier Worthy that he still was practicing with his equilibrium off? Practicing a little bit, and then left practice, and then went into the year because he had gotten hurt, came back, practiced, then went into the concussion protocols. Hold on. He practiced because he left practice with a head. It looked like he banged his head, then practiced again.
He left practice with a head. He came back without one. It was crazy.
He's got a little bit of a head, dealing with a head injury, dealing with a head. So, but it was just fluid in the ears that was messing up his equilibrium. He maintained the entire time that he did not suffer concussion, and he did not, which is good because those things start to add up and they stack up. Even if it's one of those to where, he had a concussion, he's out for 3 or 4 days in practice, but don't worry, the league process stepped in. He's been fully cleared to return to action. Okay, but it's still a mark in the concussion column. You get too many of those marks and career's over, and you just simply have to walk away because once that one mark is there, the next mark, according to doctors, potentially and historically, depending on different body types, is a little bit easier for that second mark to get there.
Yeah.
And then easier for that third mark and the fourth mark. And then the recovery takes a little bit longer and a little bit longer. So it's good that he did not ever have an actual concussion. The other guy Hollywood's still out with the ankle.
Yeah.
Clearly wrong about thinking that he would have practiced on Wednesday if they didn't have an off day.
I'm
on
okay
Thursday.
though. Honestly, he's a veteran. He was here all last year, obviously injured all of the majority of last year. He knows the playbook, should know the playbook. Let him get 100%, even if he's 85, even if he's 90, don't rush him back.
I'm not saying rush him back. The ankle injury or ankle getting hurt a little bit worse than what even Jordan Schultz was tweeting out on Tuesday that said, not really bad. He could be back Wednesday to practice. And my point was, well, if they had practice on Thursday and he could be back on Wednesday, then he'd probably be back on Wednesday. But he's not going to practice Wednesday because even if he was fully ready to go because they have an off day on Thursday, might as well take an extra day. And it's a 10-10-10 on Wednesday. So you're not really getting much out of reps. You can almost get as much done mental reps as you can get with your regular reps. But then missing practice today, okay, then it's a little more severe than just he could be back the next day. We'll see what happens tomorrow, and we'll see what happens on Sunday, because the next off day is Monday, and then they have an off day Friday. So there's practice Saturday and Sunday. And just so people know, those Saturday and Sunday practices, the next 2 days, are $6 admission practices. Family Fun Day is tomorrow. And that's the full team autograph after the practice. So, by the way, Patrick Mahomes signing autographs today after practice. He doesn't sign it every day. He picks and chooses. And today was not a quarterback autograph signing day. Today was the defensive back's turn to sign autographs today. But Patrick Mahomes staying after and signing autographs today. That's you got lucky, kids. You picked a good day to go up there. And maybe, you know what it is? Here's what you do. Be smart. Pick a day that's 75 degrees. Because then Patrick Mahomes is probably more willing to stay out wearing pads or shells and signing autographs rather than 110-degree feel like with pads on a Tuesday after 2.5-hour practice. At that point, he's walking off, throwing the sweaty, drenched headband to the kids and just straight walking off the field, which is what he typically will do. Take the headband off, throw it to a kid, and walk off the field. Sometimes he'll sign autographs. Today, signing autographs, 75 degrees. Everybody's in a better mood. Everybody's feeling good today, better mood. You get the day. You had your tough practice Tuesday. You're probably going to be 3, 4, 5 of those during training camp. You knocked out number 1, and you did it on maybe the hottest day that you knocked it out. That might be the toughest day of training camp. You got through it. 10-10-10 Wednesday, off day yesterday, back at it with a full practice today, but 75 degrees. You know what? Life's good. Simmons in a good mood. Andy Reid telling multiple jokes.
Yeah, Andy Reid was
pun.
Yeah, I mean,
dropping a full speed ahead for Rashee Rice, and then dropping a no pun intended.
Yeah,
because I don't think that pun was intended. I think that was what he said, and then realized it like. There was a good 2 or 3 second delay when he was like, "Oh wait, no pun intended, full speed ahead." We are talking about.
Was he waiting for the media to chuckle maybe?
No,
and then go no pun intended.
If he was, I think he would have offered a. Well, with him on the field, it's more of a full speed ahead. No pun intended, though. Even though clearly pun would have been intended in that situation.
Yeah.
Or maybe Andy Reid was given a line that he had to incorporate full speed ahead.
Line.
What's my line? Excuse me. What's my motivation? What do I have a backstory with this coach, Andy Reid? What's the backstory here? Okay. How am I feeling about this Rashee Rice character? Do I love him? Do I hate him? Do I like him? Do I have a good relationship with him off the field? Am I okay to throw him under the bus and offer a speeding joke? Is this cool? Okay, I got it. Okay, so I will present it as if this was just slip of the tongue and it wasn't. Okay, great. Got it. Here we go. And rolling. Full speed ahead. No pun intended. Nailed it. Got it. Cut. We'll do this in post. The Josh Simmons saying that he's getting a lot of reps. Andy Reid talking about Josh Simmons.
Yeah.
Getting a lot of reps, consistently getting those reps out there. He's a hard worker. He doesn't take any reps off, which is great. I mean, I don't know how many coaches also would say that this guy takes a number of reps off. Who knows? But working on fundamentals and technique. And those are the things that he has to really get better at. Josh Simmons saying what he is working on and needs to improve on, or working on the most right now, is understanding the defense, anticipating what the defense is going to do. Is it going to be a stunt? Is this guy coming over there? Is this guy going to blitz? Is this guy going to drop off? Is there going to be a blitz from somewhere else? Is this cornerback going to come this way? And asked about, well, what does it do when you've got Steve Spagnuolo? And he said, you never know what he's going to do. He keeps me on point. So he's getting a crash course on not knowing what the guy in front of him is going to do. That's good. We'll continue talking a little Chiefs football on the other side of the break. We went through our offensive and defensive assessments yesterday, but we had to rush through the defensive side. That I want to give a little bit more time to talk a little bit more about the defense. We'll also hear more from J.J. Piccolo and the trade deadline, what he liked about it, his assessment of those things, how the Royals got better. They get ready for Toronto Blue Jays. 3-city road trip. Tough 3-city road trip. Last time went 2-8. 2-8 road trip this go around might just kill their playoff possibilities. So their playoff push starts tonight against the Blue Jays. We'll talk Chiefs coming up next. We will play the cuts before the show is over. We'll hear from J.J. Piccolo as well. Coming up later on this hour, some things that we heard from J.J. last night about the trade deadline, what the Royals were able to accomplish. They start a very big road trip tonight in Toronto, taking on Kevin Gossman, Michael Wacha on the mound, 6:07 when that game gets underway. We'll see what the lineup looks like. Noah Cameron is now scheduled to start tomorrow. That was the original day that Noah Cameron was going to be set to start. They put it at TBA based on matchups and trade deadline things.
Oh, it's a good matchup now. That's what it is. That
clearly
clearly
is a
is
good
what
matchup.
the reason why.
Bergert pitched on, Tuesday, so he was not going to be in a regularly scheduled spot to start on Saturday. They're leaving Lugo alone on Sunday in his regular rest. We'll see after that what happens, but these 3 days against the Toronto Blue Jays, it's Wacha, Cameron, and Lugo, and we'll see when Lorenzen is able to come back, if and where Bergert pitches in the rotation if he goes on Monday against the Boston Red Sox. We'll find out with some of those things over the weekend, but the Royals, the 3 players that they have in the rotation that they didn't start the season with those guys in the rotation, but the 3 guys left in the rotation from the rotation that we have known this year are the ones pitching this weekend against Toronto. It's a big opportunity. They need the bats to still break out and be doing their thing. Toronto, one of the better teams in baseball. These next 6 games can go a long way to deciding what the remaining, where are they at, 109, so 52, so 6, so the next 46. So these next 6 games will be crucial in deciding how we view the next 46.
If they buy or sell at the trade deadline,
Yes,
yeah, we'll
100%.
see what they do.
Well, I mean, in theory, you can still buy and sell. You can still trade. Remember, the Royals acquired via trade Yuli Gurriel last year in mid-August.
I guess, yeah, minor.
Because you have to be 3 things. So either you could just claim somebody off waivers like Tommy Pham.
Yeah.
The Cardinals claimed him off waivers, then they released him, and then the Royals claimed him off waivers. But they traded for Yuli Gurriel. And if memory serves, there have to be 3 things specifically for a team to trade a player after July 31st. 1, they have to have signed a minor league contract.
Yeah.
They have to still be on the 40-man roster of that team, and they have to have never have spent even 1 day on the IL that year.
Wow, I would never have guessed that last part.
So, and that was the part about Yuli Gurriel, is that Yuli had not had an IL stint. I think he missed 3 or 4 days in the minors, but he didn't have anything where he went on the IL, so he is available to trade. The Royals are acquiring Yuli Gurriel because he meets all of these things. No IL, on the 40, and on a minor league contract.
I did not know that last part. That is
So
fascinating.
there are players you can trade post July 31st. It's just not to the degree that we have seen in the past.
It's
the
41-year-old first basemen.
Yes. It's not the Verlander 2017 August or late August trade to come in and help a team win the World Series. We're not seeing those anymore. The clearing waivers trade deadline. Although I am wondering if the Cubs thought maybe there was still an August 31st trade deadline. Did the Cubs think that? Jack, do you think the Cubs maybe thought, we're going to wait for the waiver deadline of August 31st trade. We're going to make a Verlander type deal coming up then. We're fine with what we have right now. We're not ready to make any moves. We're going to wait for the next trade deadline.
That, or they were so shell-shocked by how aggressive San Diego was, they didn't even have time to react.
That could be the case, yeah. Did the Angels know that there was not an August trade deadline either? Because the Angels were like, we're going to buy, we're going to move forward. The same team that we had yesterday.
Are we surprised that Aaron Savali is still with the White Sox?
Yeah, I think so.
I am, but then you come to find out they don't trade Mike Tauchman. They don't trade Louis Robert. But again, it's not to say that bad
Hauser.
teams. Yeah, they did move Hauser in the final hour of the
Yeah.
trade deadline, so that was a bit odd to me as well. These teams that are nowhere near contention, it's never a bad thing to hold on to, because it's different if Luis Robert was, 34 or 35. You got to move him at that point because he's not going to be a part of your contention window. There's a world in which the White Sox feel that he could be a part of their next winner. And it's not to say that all these guys that need to be traded to the big market teams, but man, I don't know how you could be 30 games under 500 you could get back a return to pair with already the nice prospects you brought up this year and say, nope, the return's not good enough. And I feel that they have overvalued Luis Robert for years. They have traded him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still OPSing under 700, and I'm sure they're still asking for multiple top 100 guys, and teams are going, there's no guarantee he turns it on where when he comes to us, we can hope that, but he's hitting 211. That's because he's been really hot over the last month. He was hitting under 200 for a large portion of the year.
Let me ask you guys this then. They brought in Bailey Falter, the Royals did. Would you rather have Bailey Falter or Aaron Savali?
I would go with, what does Savali team control?
I don't know.
He should be a free agent.
Yeah, he's a free agent. Yeah, because it was Savali was going to be Michael Lorenzen type. I'll take Bailey Falter. Just because, you've got more team control. Is Falter a guy that could fill a Savali or Lorenzen role? Sure, maybe that's Kolek. But the way the Royals seem to be viewing it, when J.J. Piccolo talks about, I'm sitting here watching Michael Lorenzen. We played the clip earlier that, once you have enough pitching, you should get more pitching. That he's like, I'm sitting here watching today while we're going through our trade deadline. I'm watching Lorenzen take a bullpen session on the field, and it's like, okay, he's close to getting back. He's pitching off the mound now. You look at that. You look at Waka. You look at Lugo. You look at Noah Cameron. We'll hear from J.J. Piccolo weigh in on Cole Reagans. And then Bergert is going to be in the rotation here with the Royals. I think probably going Monday, I would guess. Probably Monday against the Red Sox. And then after that, bullpen day or, I don't know, Falter, somebody else. I don't know, Hatch. Something like that along the way. I just think that Savali, could he have filled that role? Certainly, he could have. But this way, you got organizational depth moving forward with Falter, as opposed to last year, you were in position, you needed somebody like a Lorenzen to help the playoff push. You were in the driver's seat at that time. You weren't chasing. You were being chased. You were holding on. You were keeping teams at arm's length last year. You needed somebody to help you get there. Paul DeYoung and Michael Lorenzen, Urseg, Harvey, players like that, that helped you along the way. This is more of threading the needle like we talked about in the first hour, Sterling, of does it help the floor of your team and the depth of your team while also helping in 2026 and 2027? So I will take Falter over Savali in this scenario.
I would too. I was just posing that question because I think it was interesting. Where obviously Savali was a name that we had talked about a good chunk. Falter's a guy who's trending the correct way in his career. Younger, obviously. We talked about the team control. He went from a 5.3 to a 4.4. This year's a 3.7. Aaron Savali went from a 3.4 to a 4.3 to a now almost a 4.4. It just feels like Savali's trending the wrong way. Well,
you could say Savali's the one that's gonna falter. I would say you could say it's Sterling.
I don't feel it anymore.
I don't either.
But yeah, I think Bailey Falter, and also the Royals starting pitchers who are left-handed. They've done a good job developing those guys recently. Bullpen left-handed has been more of a struggle, but starter lefties been better.
Two things. I don't know if you guys caught this the other day, but the first one being with Pittsburgh, trying to save face on trading Bailey Falter, not Andrew Heaney. They said, well, Bailey Falter was a non-tender candidate, and Bailey Falter's making $2.2 million this year. He's under control for 5 more years. And he's got one of the better ERAs on the team, and they save face by going, well, we were going to non-tender him anyway, so we tried to get what we could. And the second part to this, why I believe Bailey Falter might really turn things up a notch in Kansas City, he actually had Brian Sweeney as his minor league pitching coach in Philadelphia. I was from Andy Rogers the other day.
Great call.
So, yes, we can look at Bergert as having maybe the most explosive stuff of the bunch. He does struggle a bit with command. And then Kolek's more of the throw-in guy there, but Bailey Falter is someone that I believe from the left side hides the ball really well. His fastball is a bit deceptive. His last start against Detroit, he went 7 innings, 1-run ball, struck out a season-high 8, and 7 of them, I believe, were on his fastball, which sits in the low 90s. But it has a different, I'm trying to think of the right word to use, a model to it, a frame to it. I know I'm not using that correctly, but it sneaks up on hitters. And the Royals certainly have a type in what they look for. Shape, yeah, that's probably the one I'm going for there. But it sneaks up on you, 92, 93, where we saw with Bergert, he sits about 94, 95, can run at 96, 97, but tremendous spin work and grade out as an 80 grade fastball.
Well, let me ask you this. It seems like, and I think this is where zigging and zagging So in the mid-2010s, when the Royals were building their bullpen and Dayton Moore was finding the inefficiency in the market, the money ball, not about on-base percentage. It was about what's the inefficiency in the market. Everybody's paying for home runs. Okay, well, what can we afford that is valuable? People are not valuing getting on base. People are not valuing not making it out. So let's value that. This is a big part of baseball that we feel like we are on the front end of this. And they were, right? The only reason they were able to win that many games is because of Scott Hatteberg. It had nothing to do with their Barry Zito and Tejada
Mark
and
Mulder.
Chavez and Mulder. It had nothing to do with those guys. It was all about Scott Hatteberg. Hudson, yeah, it was all about Scott Hatteberg. If they didn't have Scott Hatteberg, then they would not have been able to win that many games. Giambi, nothing like that. And they can't win that many games without Scott Hatteberg walking to first. Then it was inefficiencies in the market. Dayton Moore saw that everybody was paying so much money for starting pitchers. Well, why don't we create a 4-inning ace? 6, 7, 8, 9, game over. That's more efficient, and we can use that guy every couple of days. We can have a 4-inning ace in the postseason every night, essentially, because you get more days off. So why don't we go that route, because it doesn't cost as much? Well, now it does. Now it does cost you because people are smart enough to understand that shortening the game. I think the Royals, by keeping Hunter Harvey, if he's healthy, and certainly there were people that were looking at it. Rangers were in the mix, were at least interested. J.J. Picola weighing in on Hunter Harvey, that there were people that were interested, but we like as he said, we think the health, we think he's going to be fine, moving forward, and hopefully that's the case. But with Hunter Harvey back, and Urseg and Estevez, and with the development of Cruz, you've got 4 guys with 3 of those guys with really good stuff and strikeout ability that you could shorten the game the way that the Royals did in the mid-2010s. Berger's an interesting one to me because, Jack, I don't know how much the Royals will work with being pitch efficient for this guy. I think oftentimes they haven't been as pitch efficient as I would like them to be. Cole Reagans is not a pitch efficient guy, and that really hasn't changed for him. He's a high strikeout guy, but not necessarily pitch efficient, where he's going to have 80 pitches in the 7th or 8th inning. He might have 80 pitches in the 4th or 5th inning. With Ryan Bergert, he's a guy that has roughly a strikeout per inning, so 9, strikeouts per 9. But if you look at his starts this year, you've got 5 innings, 90 pitches, 4 innings, 71 pitches, 3 innings, 50 pitches, 4 2/3, or 3 innings, 69 pitches, 4 2/3, 82 pitches, 4 innings, 83 pitches. That's been Ryan Bergert. And he's going out there with, the 90 pitches in 5 innings got 8 strikeouts. The 82 pitches in 4 2/3 got 7 strikeouts. The 83 pitches in 4 innings got 4 strikeouts. So he's getting a number of strikeouts per 9, but he's not doing it in an efficient way. And his stuff doesn't jump off the page to me as, well, this guy's going to be a strikeout guy, and that's why he's got that high of a pitch count, because he's a swing and miss guy. And then guys are staying alive by fouling off pitches that they couldn't catch up to, or they were beat on. And the next 2 pitches, he's going to strike this guy out. It's not the balls being put in play like Kolek, and having that sinker that's getting a high ground ball rate. I just wonder if Bergert gets to the Royals, do they work on that? And, hey, trust your stuff. Because zigging and zagging, the Royals, while everybody is going for max velocity and hot and 99, 100, the Royals have gone for, we want deception and movement on the pitches. We're not looking for 98, 99, 100. We may draft and develop that. Churio looks good. He had a great start in Low A yesterday, a 17-year-old in Low A. Paid $250,000 for him last year as a 16-year-old. Now he's already 17 in Low A. Went through the Dominican and the Arizona Complex Rookie League. So quickly, and they wouldn't advance him that quick if they didn't think there was something here with that kid. If they thought this was just a flash and he's just putting up numbers, but it's not staying power, he'd still be in the Dominican. He'd still be in the Arizona Complex League. He wouldn't be at Low A. So there's excitement there. You can draft and develop that. But it feels like, Jack, at the big league level, Lugo, Waka, Cameron, Bubich, Bergert. Guys are looking at movement, deception, rather than just flat out, I'm blowing it by you, I'm throwing 99 and 100.
Because at this level, as great as that sounds, it's hittable. If you throw 98, 99, you have either A, no idea where it's going, or B, it's straight. 99 and 100 can be caught up to by some of these big league hitters. And, I do believe that you have to take into account a little bit of both things here. You got to take into account the advanced data that's out there, the analytical part of the game, the spin rate, the pitch modeling and all of that. And then you also have to have the eye test here. For older, more experienced guys that might not have the stuff, what do you see from them eye test-wise as to why they could be a good fit for your rotation? And that's why I love that Seth Lugo and Michael Walker, if you go look at their baseball savant pages, they don't stand out. There's a lot of blue. There's more blue than red for these guys, and you would think, well, eventually that's going to catch up to them. It's been 2 years now for both these guys, and yet consistency is still there. And you go look at Bailey Falter, you go look at Stephen Kolek, and you go look at Ryan Bergert. Those don't pop either.
There's a lot of blue on Bergert's savant page.
But there are certain things you look at and say, man, we use this spin with this pitch, and we give him a slider. We give him a cutter. That's going to play nicely there. And that's what I imagine they looked at when targeting these guys. Like, I love that yesterday because, I thought it'd be Aaron Savali. I felt like the perfect fit. He's not going to cost anything. A bad team he's on. It's a rental. You're not going to give up anything. The fact that they targeted these guys specifically, who nobody knew was going to be available. I had no idea Falter was available. I had no idea Bergert and Kolek were available. But the Royals looked at these guys and said, we can work with them. That's far more successful of a strategy than who is everybody going after? Who are all these rentals? It's what made Tampa Bay, and still to this day, so good at finding that. Where when a trade goes down and you find somebody that you don't recognize the name, you go, uh-oh, that guy might turn into something. Same thing with Cleveland. And surprise, surprise, Matt Quatraro and Brian Sweeney both have ties to Tampa Bay and Cleveland. Now, Sweeney, just Cleveland. Matt Quatraro, of course, Tampa Bay and Cleveland as well. Paul Hoover, same thing. So you have that type of influence of what we're targeting in certain pitchers, why it works. And when they get here, it's not just an automatic, well, we have good pitchers. They've got experienced veterans they can learn from. It's going to work out here. It's more complex than that. They go into the analytical part. They also go into the eye test part. And I believe it's incredibly exciting that they've got their specific type of pitcher, and when they target them, there's always a reason to it. And they have a good track record now. Every time they acquire a pitcher, it seems to be working out for them.
So when I'm looking at Ryan Bergert and just kind of going along with the conversation, especially with their four-seam fastball, because everything else can play off of that, it's 93.6. It's under league average, which is crazy to think about in 2025 now. You tell someone in 2000 that 93.6 miles an hour for a starter is less than league average for your four-seam fastball. Pretty crazy. That's where we're at, though, velo-wise. His vertical drop, or should I say lack thereof, is 2.1 inches better than league average. You might not think that's anything crazy. That is a huge difference. That is bright red. His four-seam fastball, it plays up for that reason. Same thing with Bailey Falter. Bailey Falter's extension, 96th percentile. So, Jack, to your point of him hiding it well, he's 6'4", he's lefty. Why is that four-seam fastball at 92 miles an hour? Why is it so effective? Because you can't see it until it's on top of you. That's why it plays so much better. Ryan Bergert, guys are hitting 140 and slugging 211 against that four-seam fastball. So the Royals saw that, and they say, hey, that can play. We're going to clean up the sinker. If that were me, I'd say stop throwing your damn sinker. Your sinker's getting shelled. Just stick with that four-seamer. He throws a slider and a sweeper. The sweeper's getting slugged against, but guys are still only batting 188, so there's still something that you can work with. So when you look at these and you look at some of the underlying metrics and with the pitches individual, not just the how hard has it been getting hit overall, not just the initial baseball savant page, but once you start diving deeper and say, what can we work on? What aspect do we find that is an outlier in a positive way? For me, it's Ryan Bergert with that four-seam fastball that does not have that vertical drop. And it's Bailey Falter with this, again, four-seam fastball with the extension that really stands out.
And I wonder about Bergert, too. And like I said, we'll talk Chiefs a segment.
As we get nerdy.
Yeah, I know. Let's get nerdy with it. Talk nerdy to me. Ryan Bergert, I wonder, too, like he's 25 years old. So he was drafted as a college kid. But he missed essentially 2 years of baseball. And 2020, his sophomore year, was COVID. So he only pitched in 4 games in his sophomore year. Then, before his junior year, he has Tommy John surgery. So he misses his junior year. Even with Tommy John surgery and only 21 appearances in college, he was drafted in the 6th round while recovering from Tommy John surgery. So you haven't pitched since last summer. You haven't pitched since 2020, and that was cut short because of COVID. And then you have Tommy John surgery. We're still going to take you in the 6th round. So there is a pedigree of what they felt like he was going to be able to accomplish, the Padres, when they took him in the 6th round. And you miss those couple of years. 2022, you're coming back from Tommy John. Then 23, 24, and now you're up with the big leagues in 25. I don't know what would Ryan Bergert be if he had a full 20 and a full 21. 20-year-old season and 21-year-old season, because he was, born in 2000. So he's going to be a guy whose age season is going to be what that year is. So 2025, his age season is his 25-year-old season. So in 2020, he was 20 years old, freshman in college or sophomore in college, and pitches in only 4 games because of COVID. 21-year-old Tommy John, out for the year. 22-year-old recovering from Tommy John, now in pro ball, now pitching for the first time since he was a sophomore in college, and now he's pitching against professionals 2 years later. So I do wonder, would he have been available? Is Ryan Bergert about to go through the next couple of years of development where he wouldn't be a guy that you could get for Fermin if he didn't have those 2 years off and was advanced a little bit further as a 25-year-old as opposed to missing 2 years of baseball as a 20 and a 21-year-old? You can make a case, kind of a high school kid to a degree,
sure,
than a fully developed college kid that pitches 3 years in college, and not 21 games in college is all he pitched in his freshman, sophomore, and junior year, and still went in the 6th round.
I think, one, yes.
Over 3 years, pitched 21 games.
But two, I'm starting to find a little bit of a trend here, because I just wanted to look this up, and maybe I'm completely off base. To the same point where I said that his fastball vertical drop was 2.1, Bailey Falter's was 1.6, and Chris Bubich is 1.7. So I'm looking at I
would say, what's the baseline? Is that good, bad?
Yes, that's good. That's bright red.
Yeah.
Zero is comparable. So everything's off of 0.
Okay.
But so I'm looking at I'm just looking at this because I think Falter and Bubich, actually specifically because they're both lefties, which is why I think they went after Falter again. We're seeing that trend now, and I'm not trying to be a smartass of left-handed starting pitchers. Not even starts. I guess we saw it with Aroldis Chapman as well. But with Cole Reagans, they found something that stood out as an outlier. Let's dive into this. Chris Bubich, how many times have we been saying, well, he throws 92, 93, but it looks faster because of it? I looked it up again. The extension he has, 84th percentile. Falter the same way. I think now I'm talking myself into trying to find trends.
Noah Cameron, a lefty that has figured
it out. A lefty who, again, doesn't throw hard, but what does he do well? He extends. And so I've been reading a book about Von Neumann, John Von Neumann, and it's about
Randy Newman?
Randy Newman,
Reading a book about
And so now I'm
Randy
trying to find
Newman.
patterns in life, so maybe I'm trying to find a pattern right here. But I'm talking about lefties who don't always have to throw hard, but if you can throw the top of the zone without that vertical drop, guys swing underneath it, and it plays up.
You got an arm in me. You got an arm in me.
Sorry, short people.
You're the one that said that. Bergert's 6'1", 210. He's not. That's not short. It's fine. I know he's not. What's Falter like?
6'4".
Arms, teeth, and fingernails out there. Just elbows, knees, and arms and legs just coming at you. 6'4" is kind of. Yeah, that's and that again that reach that he has when he's getting to home plate. So I think the trend is movement and deception.
Yeah.
When everybody's paying for velocity, the Royals are paying for movement, deception, pitchability. Let's coach them. Let's maximize shape. Let's maximize the things that we could teach. It's harder to teach 101 than it is to, hey, why'd you work down and away in this count as opposed to going at this count? What are you doing? Those conversations that Lugo and Waka and Reagans and those guys come off the field and immediately start having their pitching meeting in the dugout. How much is Bergert going to improve from that? Just being around guys that are the thinkers. You know, maybe not Maddox the professor, but Lugo's got a little. He's got a little Maddox professor into him, and so does Waka. Those guys, when you are pitchability over just plain old stuff, like Cruz should not be walking guys. He just should be. You know what? If you hit it, congratulations. But if you hit it, you also might break your bat because of the stuff. I'm not going to try to get too fine. I'm just going to throw it at you. I'm going to skewball my changeup.
Yeah.
Skewball, changeup, throw it over the middle. Let the change of velocity and movement do the work for me. Cruz, just going to throw the ball, and I'll let the movement and the velocity do the work for me. We will, shall we talk Chiefs or hear from J.J. Piccolo? Let's stick with it. Let's hear from J.J. Piccolo on the other side of the break, okay? And as we come back, we'll probably then talk Chiefs. Now, let's hear from J.J. Piccolo. I want to hear from him talking about why they went this route, the commitment from the ownership, Cole Reagan's, what he brings or what, you know, the future is for him. And then also play a clip from last night. Baseball Tonight had their Baseball Tonight post-trade deadline special. Buster Olney, Jeff Passan, Tim Kirkagin. And they gave every single team a grade. Mm-hmm. And there's about a minute that the three of them, because they had to go through all teams. So with the Royals, about a minute. We'll play that minute of what they said about the Royals and their trade deadline. We'll do that on the other side of the break. More so next. Football will happen next weekend as well. Baseball still happening this weekend. Royals in Toronto as they waited to take off with their flight at 5:30 after the trade deadline. Turns out they could have taken off at 2 o'clock or 2:30.
Well, no. When did Yaz?
Oh, good call. Well, no,
Yastrzemski.
Yeah, but Yaz wasn't going to then.
It was a minor leaguer, but yeah.
Right, but Yaz wasn't going to make the. He wasn't going to make the charter. He had to just meet him in Toronto. But for
he
me,
drove.
Yes, he drove
U-Haul.
from San Francisco. Just you rented a U-Haul.
All right, pack up, babe.
Right,
Gotta get there.
Come on, guys. Let's go. Let's pack up. Let's get the dog and everybody. Kids, we ready to go? All right, old family truckster. Here we go. But for me, like at 2 o'clock, it's like, all right, hey, Freddie, you don't need to meet us at the charter downtown. We need you to come in to. How do they do it? Do they meet at Kaufman and then take a bus to the charter? Do they drive to the charter? Does the charter land at the Truman Sports Complex and then it takes off from there? Like, how does that whole thing work? So when Freddie, if he got to Kaufman for the day with all of his stuff to put on the charter that he probably doesn't go and load himself, when you go through customs for the Royals, customs there at Gate A. Gate A is customs for the Royals when they have an international flight to Toronto. They just let Freddie Fermin, hey, man, now you've got to find a way. Talk to the Padres. Padres will reach out. They'll get you here they'll get you to San Diego, but we're going to be heading to Toronto without you. You're heading to San Diego. And as JJ Piccolo, we played that clip in the first hour, said, I told him I hope we see you in the World Series. I do too. I really hope the Royals play the Padres in the World Series.
I would take the Royals playing any team.
That's the
in
point.
The World Series.
That's the point,
No,
Sterling.
but I'll get even more specific. Any team.
Well, if the Royals make the World Series, I would really appreciate if they play the Padres because I would hate to see them play the Dodgers in the World Series.
You know what? Yeah, I would prefer them to play. If I had my druthers.
Playoffs are close. Moose out front, should have told you. Here's JJ Piccolo. He was asked this clip number 2. Why make these moves? What do these moves do for the micro, the macro? Why did today, this was yesterday or last night, why did today end up being the day that it was?
For one, we're playing better right now. I like the way we've played. We're starting to score some runs. I know we've had some games in between games we've scored runs where we don't, but there are signs that the offense is coming around. I think with the additions of Frage and Grichuk, I think that has been very helpful. But the strength of the club is pitching. And, we just got Hunter Harvey back, and he's healthy. He's pitched 3 times in 6 days. That's a great sign for us. If we can get back to that 7th, 8th, 9th inning with those 3 and get quality starts out of Lugo, Waka, Cameron, and now 2 of these 3 that we just acquired, our bullpen's going to be in good shape. And, we believe in our team. We have. They haven't given us reason to ever say it's time to sell. If for no other reason, we're still a fairly young team with a young core together, and trying to build that culture of winning is extremely important to us. If we were 15, 20 games under 500, that's a different story, and we could have done a lot of different things because we have pitchers that people value, we have position players of value. I'm just really glad, and I know the team is, that we're not in that position where we felt like we had to. So. I think we have a little bit more of a complete team. I think we spoke a week or 2 ago about how our bench and how the roster's evolved. And right now we didn't have the balance that we felt like we needed. From a strategic standpoint, matching up late in the game. Now I feel like we have that balance, and Q's going to have options to make moves late in the game, and we become a tougher team to defend.
And that's one of my main takeaways yesterday was they rounded out their roster from 1 to 26. That some teams, Mariners, Phillies, making moves for the top end and difference-making players, where it felt like the Royals made moves for the bottom part of their lineup, rounding it out. And I gave the numbers earlier, joked with you guys about, can you name this player that I thought the Royals could trade for, right fielder, that would cost Cam Devaney and Yanier Marte, thank you. I almost said Muto. Yanier Marte. Junior Marte.
It's like Junior, but with a Y.
So Junior. Yeah, that's right. So it's how Tony Pena would say Junior. Junior. That's right. By the way, JJ Piccolo, well done. Grichuk and then Grichuk. He and I. In common. He even traded for the man. The man's been on his team for a week.
Did you hear Andy say Remigio today?
Oh, I do love that. Karlafakis. Still rocking. Players still call him Steve Spagnuolo, you know. But I said that there's a right fielder out there that the Royals could have acquired for the same price that it was to get Yastrzemski and Randall Grichuk. And I gave the numbers, and it was batting .247, getting on base at .350, and slugging .421 for an OPS of .771. Good God, that's 260 points higher than what their right fielders have OPS this year. For a right fielder in every game combined this year, what somebody playing right field has done for the Royals this year has combined to a .511 OPS. And this guy's OPSing at .771. And that's when Yastrzemski faces right-handers and Grichuk faces left-handers. So if there is a true platoon in right field, you combine those guys, you've got yourself one hell of a right fielder. For this team, second in on-base percentage, he would have the most walks by 14 if you combine these two guys. Fourth most home runs, third highest OPS, fifth most doubles, and the fifth most RBIs on this team by Yaz against righties and Grichuk against lefties in right field. And without Fermin, you don't need Luke Maile often, which means that when Jack comes back, you can just simply play him at DH. And Adam Frazier can move around and spell some guys here or there, so you've got a more complete team overall, top to bottom, with the pitching staff, with a healthy Harvey, and with the bottom of your lineup and things and buttons that Q can push with his team. So I thought that was interesting from J.J. Piccolo.
I'll also point out, and again, I think righties more than anything else, because Yastrzemski versus lefties has been a utter nightmare this year. I mean, it has been horrendous. But it's not like left field's been great. Left field's OPS in at .606. So against righties, I don't hate having Yaz and Randall Grichuk in the game at the same time. Against lefties, yeah, no Yaz, you have to figure something out there. But I think against right-handed hitters specifically, this Royals team just got a whole lot better.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Also, some randomness to this thing. I just realized this as I'm looking through. The Royals, man, if it wasn't for 4 games for Rich Hill in Boston, the Royals this year will have 4 players throw a pitch for the Royals that the most recent team they threw a pitch for before the Royals was the Padres. Waka, Lugo, Bergert, and Kolek. All Padres to Royals. And if it wasn't for those damn 4 games for the Red Sox, it'd be Rich Hill, too. It would have been Rich Hill with the Padre, and then the Red Sox, and then the Royals. But just interesting, Waka signed with the Royals, or Padre signed with the Royals. Lugo, Padre signed with the Royals. Now Bergert and Kolek being traded to the Royals. Royals have some scouts over there in San Diego, some things that they like from pitchers that they're seeing wearing Padres uniforms that they feel like they can maximize and get the most out of. And it might be 3 of their guys in the rotation the rest of the way were Padres as recently as 23 and as 2 days ago.
Do you guys want to know the batting order, just in general, not specific player? No.
Oh.
Not specific players, but just overall, what the worst 2 spots in the lineup have been for the Royals this year?
Number 5 and number 8.
Number 5 has actually been the second best for the Royals this year.
Sorry. Well, no, now that Salvi's been moved down to number 5, I shouldn't say
it's
that.
helped a little bit.
Yeah, so maybe 6 and 8?
6 and 7. 6 and 7 this year. The Royals' number 6 hitter, whoever that is, just a spot, the 6th hitter in the Royals lineup is OPSing at .491.
I think Massey hit there for the majority of the year.
Jack has hit at number 6 when they moved Michael up to number 3, Vinny 4, Salvi 5. So that's sort of like the right fielders have kind of...
Number 7 is .557, which is by far the worst 2 spots by over 100 OPS. Number 8's been fine, .656, grand scheme of things, and .671 for Isbell. But the point I'm trying to make here is, who's going to be batting 6th and 7th? It might be Yaz. It might end up being Jonathan India if Yastrzemski bats leadoff. You'll have Randall Grichuk there now. You were talking about the floor being raised. Yeah. That is the floor being raised. Those guys will be batting 6th and 7th. And all of a sudden, you're seeing such an extension of this lineup. And now, even if they bat OPS around 680, How much better is that than 491 and 557?
Yeah. Well, that might be where you just say who's ever in the lineup, Yaz or Grichuk, is batting sixth. So Yaz, when you're playing, you're batting sixth and playing right field. Grichuk, if you're playing, you're batting sixth and playing right field. That's just the sixth spot has been terrible. Now we're going to replace that with a guy combined righty-lefty matchup that's OPSing 771. We're going to take two guys that OPS mid-700s against the opposite hand that they're going up against, platoon them, and that's going to be our number 6 hitter this year the rest of the way because that's been a sore spot in the lineup. And if and when Jack comes back, maybe he goes into the 7 spot. Maybe you got power there that all of a sudden, Yaz works the walk, Grichuk works the walk. Now there's a couple men on, and Jack gets a hold of one, and now it's a 3-run shot. You're like, oh, okay, well, you're not relying on him being the number 5 hitter. You're relying on him, sliding into the number 7 hole because 5 and 6 have become elongated lineup because Garcia's been moved up and is back to hitting the cover off the ball, back over 300 now, back at 358 on base percentage. And Salvi's doing Salvi things. Vinny's OPSing at almost 800 now. 1 through 5 seem to have things figured out to a large degree. 6, put somebody that's OPSing at the 770. 7, is that the DH and Jack when he comes back? 8, whoever's in left field. Yeah. And 9 being Isbell. And you move forward and see what you got with that.
Feels like a really good spot for Jack would be in the 6 hole because that's right after Salvi. You think about Salvi already being a base clogger. We all know that's been the way for his entire career. And what do you need to have behind the base clogger? You need to have someone that can gap one or put one over the wall, where for a while it was Massey. That is going to be traditionally a singles hitter. And then you also would give that protection to Jack with a Yaz or Grichuk behind him instead of a Lofton or a Rave.
I think if why I would probably go Jack in the 7th hole and whoever is there, Yaz or Grichuk, if they continue to play the way that they are against the righty-lefty matchup, is if Jack comes back and looks like Nick Kurtz coming off the IL returning, and it's like, okay, well, then that's not going to third, but whatever. But then it'd be different. But if Jack looks like he did before, he goes on the IL, and I would guess it's probably closer to that than it is, Nick Kurtz. Unfortunately, at this point, because Nick Kurtz has just been a non-human. He's been an alien so far since he's returned from his short IL stint, but we've seen Jack behind Salvi, and it's sort of been frustrating that you have a couple of could be really bad plate appearances back-to-back.
Yeah.
Where Salvi sort of can have a wasted plate appearance of swinging at stuff outside the zone, and then Jack sort of having a wasted plate appearance. You're like, oh, that was back-to-back where the pitcher really didn't have to work all that hard. Whereas, okay, do you get through Salvi? Maybe you do, but if Salvi puts one, in play, and he's at first or second, well, now I know I'm going to have to work against this guy because he's really good against me. And maybe do I be a little more careful with him because Jack has been struggling and he's next at the plate? Okay, well, now I missed one to Jack and there's a 3-run shot. But if I think that would depend on Caglione. I think Caglione would dictate that of where you come back in the lineup. Are you going to be 6th or 7th? It's based on you and how you're performing. But when he comes back, I would put him at 7th. I wouldn't put him right behind Salvi when he comes back. I think it's the 6th spot. I would just put Yaz and Grichuk and whatever platoon is right there at the number 6 spot and figure that out. Let's play one more clip from J.J. Piccolo before we take a break here. Let's play the clip number 8 and him talking about the commitment that's been made from ownership and the connection that's there, ownership, GM, coaching staff, of the vision and the plan. Here's J.J. Piccolo talking about the commitment that's been made by ownership to help make these moves.
John and I share a vision. I think the reason I'm in this position is because I understand where he wants this organization to go, and it's my job to make sure that it happens. It's nice when you have leeway and support, when you're asking to spend some dollars to try to make the team better, and the answer has often been yes. And that's a very comforting thing. At the same time, you can't be reckless about it. We got to be smart in what we do. What I like about the players that we acquired today, we didn't add the payroll today. We added the depth and longevity. And when we think about trying to win now and take care of the future, I think that's what we executed today because we immediately helped our pitching staff, which was, you're not going to see 9 guys go 10 scoreless all that often, you know, and without taking its toll on the bullpen. We made our pitching staff better today. We made our future brighter for tomorrow, and that's really important. And we did it in a very economical way. You know, we weren't trading players that had big dollars attached to them, but we acquired a lot of value in years of control and players that, you know, are in that 0 to 3 range where it gives you a lot of flexibility. So it's a mutual respect. It's not something that we take lightly. We're not just going to always go into John's office and say, hey, we need you to sign another $10 million player. We got to come up with solutions with young players that have bright futures. And I think that's probably what I'm most excited about today, in addition to being able to go compete over the next 5 days with 5 starters again.
I like that. Made the pitching staff better and our future brighter. It's hard to do. And they were able to do that. And now we'll see what they do in the offseason as well, as J.J. Piccolo talked about that earlier in the press conference. We played it earlier in the show. What yesterday allowed them to do was take pitching off the to-do list in the offseason. Now that you've got this depth and these guys you feel pretty good about, and you've got Lugo signed and Waka signed and Reagans and Bubic team control, Noah Cameron team control for a while, Bergert team control through 2031. I mean, Bergert's going to be pitching if he stays. You know, he'll be pitching in the new stadium.
Wow, yeah.
Ryan Bergert might be out there pitching in the new K, wherever that's how long they have him in team control. He will be pitching past the lease. They have team control for him past the lease at the Truman Sports Complex. So they've got guys for the future, and now you can focus on the bats and the position players in the lineup in the offseason. We'll take a time out. We'll come back. What did Buster Olney, Jeff Passan, and Tim Kirkagin say about the Royals trade deadline day? We'll hear that next. Sterling Holmes, Jack Johnson heading up until 2 o'clock. We got the cuts before the show is over. Let's hear from yesterday's Baseball Tonight special. This is Buster Olney that you hear on New Day with SSJ, Jeff Passan that you hear on the program with Friend Petro, and Tim Kirkchin that you hear on ESPN.
We should get Tim Kirkchin.
Right?
I feel like that's the trio.
I mean, we really should. Why don't you go ahead and get on that? We'll get Tim Kirkchin on. Maybe he'll wear that helmet we can put stickers on. Here's the Baseball Tonight draft or the trade deadline grades that they gave.
Let's talk about the Kansas City Royals, okay? I'm going to include the Seth Lugo signing in their trade deadline machinations because they made a decision not to trade him. They extend him. I give him a B. Jeff?
I just like a team that's going for it.
Yes.
And the Royals have been under 500 as they've been going for it, which is really interesting to think that they must think the American League kind of stinks. because they're doing this without, mind you, Cole Reagans, who's on the injured list with the shoulder. They're doing this without Chris Bubich, who's done for the season because of the shoulder. But I think what they're telling their fans is, in going out and getting Randall Grichuk and Mike Yastrzemski and getting Bailey Falter and
they're trying to get better.
Yeah, they are trying to get better. And any team that does that, much respect.
Hats off.
And Seth Lugo is one of the most underrated pitchers in the game. And talking to him, it's not like talking to Greg Maddux, but there's some Greg Maddux in there. I'm fascinated by that guy, and I'm so happy for their sake that they extended.
You like a B grade for them?
Yes.
Okay.
So they gave it a B. I gave it a B. You gave it a B. Jack Johnson gave it an A because he is a phenomenal professor to have and a great grader.
Well, if you show up to class, you already are getting a C plus, B minus.
Spain class, you get an A.
You know what? Showing up to class is half the battle in college. It really is. You get up and go to class, you're halfway there to graduate.
Just send a pledge.
But again, that's not helping you. It's not half the battle. I'm not saying it's half the grade of being president. I'm saying you going there, just simply being president, is half the battle of learning and passing that particular class. The Yankees have released Marcus Stroman, so he'll probably be picked up by a team sometime.
Well, he had a crazy contract, too, at some point.
But I do love Jeff Passan was like, the Royals clearly think the American League sucks. But I also wonder, look at the teams they're chasing and what they did. Red Sox didn't do anything. Rangers didn't do anything. Rays didn't do anything. Tigers didn't do anything. Johnson. We talked yesterday about the Kansas City Chiefs, and we went through our position by position, better, worse, or the same from the Super Bowl to what they are right now on paper.
Yeah.
We will reassess before the first game of the season after we have seen training camp and the 3 preseason games, because then we will know health status more of players, because right now a lot of this on paper is continuing to project health status, because while Hollywood Brown has an ankle injury, our conversation about wide receiver includes Hollywood Brown playing. Knock on wood, hopefully that's still the case when we do this again, this exercise, before the first game of the season down in Brazil. So what we ended up with was, out of the 8 positional groups we went with, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end is 1. Offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, cornerback, and safety. Those were all different positional groups. We had 8 of them. Sterling thought they got better in 4 positional groups, thought they got worse in 2, and felt they were the same in 2. Jack thought they got better in 4 positional groups, worse in 2, and the same in 2. I thought they got better in 6 positional groups, worse in 1, and the same in 1. Where we differed was I viewed the quarterback room as slightly better. Sterling went with the same. I don't think that's that big of a difference. It's Patrick Mahomes. And we're really discussing semantics on who the backup quarterback is.
Yeah, I think Gardner's slightly better, but I don't think it's enough for me to be like,
So,
the room's better because
that is not something I'm willing to go, nope, it's better. You've got to go better on this one. It's not going to be worth it's fine. If that's where we disagree, that seems to be right on par with some of those things. Running back room, Jack felt like it got slightly worse. You and I felt like it got slightly better. We all agreed wide receiver, tight end was better. We all agreed offensive line was better. I looked at the defensive line as the same. Jack looked at the defensive line as same. You looked at it as slightly worse with the unknown of Omar Norman Lott and Gelati while losing the known of what they got from Turk.
Yeah. And I love Omar Norman Lott, which is actually kind of funny where I think I'm like the highest on him, but yet I'm still like...
It's an unknown.
I don't think he's getting 8 sacks this year.
And then with linebacker group, Sterling and Jack, you guys went the same. And we'll talk a little bit more D-line, linebacker, cornerback, and safety, but just setting the baseline here for the defensive side because we talked extensively about the offensive side yesterday. D-line group, we just said that. But linebacker, Jack and Sterling, you thought it was the same. I viewed it as better because I'm changing out Cochran/Jones with Jeffrey Bassa. So slightly better as the 4th linebacker, but the other guys being the same. We all thought cornerback was better because, again, on paper, Christian Fulton is playing right now, even though he's not participating currently. He's not out for the season or out for week 1. That's still the plan. And we all thought safety got worse. So we agreed. We were all on the same page with wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, cornerback, and safety. Let's talk about the defensive side a little bit more. We discussed defensive line yesterday more in depth than we did the others. Let's talk about linebacker here, and then we'll get into cornerback and safety. Because cornerback, I think, has a wide variance, and safety has a decent amount of variance, but we're all in agreement on both of those. Linebacker position. Do we think, or how much do we think, Jeffrey Bassa, or the 4th linebacker, will be needed this year if it's an improvement as opposed to what the position was last year with Bolton, Tranquil, and Leo Chenal? Because I think the top 3 are the same, right? And from last year, performance-wise. Like, even if we look at wide receiver and say, Xavier Worthy, last year to this year, I think he's better. I don't know that Chanel's going to be better than what he was last year. Bolton's going to be better than what he was last year, or Drew Tranquil's going to be better than what he was last year. I love the mix of those 3, and I like the prospect of what Bassa can be. They don't have, or the feel, maybe, the depth in the past when they had Willie Gay. They do have guys that can wear the green dot without Nick Bolton. Drew Tranquil got injured today. He's a guy that can cover. I think Jeffrey Bassa can really cover, and Leo Chenal can be a guy that, hey, we're going up against the Chargers or name another team that the Eagles that they're just going to run it. So Chanel, we need you out here because you're going to be a run stopper at the linebacker position. You guys went same, I went better, and really it's based specifically and almost strictly on Jeffrey Bossa over what I believe they got from Cam Jones or Christensen or anybody else last year. Cochran.
Jack Cochran played 8 snaps at linebacker
Like
last
I said,
year.
they got better with Jeffrey Bossa.
And so that's more or less.
He got injured though. Is that
he played in? He only missed one. He missed week 6 and 17-18.
Okay.
And so for me, 8 snaps or whatever it'd be.
Bossa's going to play at least 9. He got better.
So that's my point is, do I think Bossa might be better than Cochran? Sure. I don't think it's going to make an impact in the actual linebacker room. It's why do I think that Gardner Minshew's better than Wentz? Sure. I don't think it really matters, though, in the grand scheme of this exercise specifically.
The 2 linebackers that played the most snaps in the Super Bowl, neither of them played any defensive snaps, but they played special teams, was Cam Jones and Swayze Bozeman,
but
were the 4th and 5th linebackers last year.
That was
in the Super Bowl.
My point was, because at that point Cochran was injured. The point I was trying to make is, if we were doing a special teams argument, I'd say then I think they got better with Bossage because of the athleticism that he provides. I just think on the actual on-field, I don't see him playing hardly any snaps. I think you're looking at, again, 15 snaps, 20 snaps at most this year, probably.
I hope that's the case. I really do. Because that means that those 3 guys stayed healthy.
Yeah, and I think Leo's role stays about the same. Nick Bolton's going to be Nick Bolton. My concern is with Drew Tranquil. I've talked about it. I really like Drew Tranquil. I like him a lot. I just, that age for a linebacker, you start seeing the regression, just some of the speed starts to falter. And if you're a pass or a pass coverage linebacker, and that's kind of your calling card, and your speed starts to go, well, then how effective can you be? So I just have some questions with Drew. We saw him look a little iffy to start last year before he looked like the same Drew Tranquil we knew and loved as the second half of the season went on.
Let's talk more cornerback here, because I think we're all in agreement there on the linebacker spot as, Bossa, Cam Jones, Swayze Bozeman, etc. The cornerback spot is interesting because last year Jalen Watson had his injury, and it was Joshua Williams and Najee Johnson battling back and forth for that spot. Trading L'Jarius Sneed clearly was the right move instead of paying him, getting what they could for him. And then going out and signing Christian Fulton, a lot of this depends on health, but right now it is on paper. He's expected to be fine for the start of the season, so we are counting him in the cornerback room here. I think this can be the most improved area for the Chiefs this year, is the cornerback spot. If they remain healthy. If Jalen Watson and Christian Fulton remain healthy this year. Those are guys that have battled injuries throughout their career. And Trent McDuffie, we know is good on the outside, but we know might be the best slot corner in the NFL. Might be one of the best overall corners that can play outside and inside and move around there, but might be the best slot corner in the NFL. And if you can get representative play, not as good as Trent McDuffie on the outside from Christian Fulton, but better than what you would get
Shamari Connor
from
in the
what you
slot.
had Shamari Connor in the slot, you're better. And if Fulton and Watson can play at the level that we think both of them, when healthy, can play at, then this cornerback room can be the most improved unit from a year ago, which can then help out the defensive line. I just worry about Christian Fulton, because if Christian Fulton's not healthy, then we're essentially looking at the cornerback room as the same as last year. I mean, it's better to me is dependent on Christian Fulton and Noel Williams playing, because if Noel Williams is a rookie that's coming along in Steve Spagnuolo's defense, Sterling, that's tough to do. And if Christian Fulton isn't healthy, then you're looking at the same cornerback positional spot that you were last year.
I would almost argue, even without Christian Fulton, I would like this year better than last year. Because, again, Watson was injured, so that plays a factor. And Najee Johnson, I know people are
He
going
played 100% of the snaps on defense, though.
But I
Jalen
think
Watson did last year in the
and
Super
this
Bowl.
just Super Bowl, I guess.
And
Yeah,
people looking at Super. Again, that's the caveat that we're going
yeah,
with.
I guess you're right. So then it wouldn't really matter.
Yeah.
But I guess I would think he would be fully healthy this year and fully back versus working your way back.
Yeah.
Najee Johnson's intriguing. Where I know some people are going to laugh at this, and I don't know how much I even believe it, but we've heard time and time again it's that second year back from injury that really you start to be yourself. We've heard Tershawn Wharton talk about it. We've heard player after player, Charles Omenihu, talk about it. And I think we'll see Najee Johnson. I mean, there's a reason why the Chiefs love him.
Yeah.
The Chiefs
seems like he really likes him.
They've liked Najee, and so they know more than we do. They see him more than we do. And so I do wonder if there's still a little bit of hope that Najee Johnson can revert back to the pre-injury version that had everyone so excited. And that's without even counting Noel Williams, who, again, I'm not rookie cornerback. I'm not going to say it and have a whole bunch of high expectations. So I think even without Christian Fulton, it's about the same, but maybe slightly better. I am fully all in on Christian Fulton. Injury is going to be the whole talking point, but as far as production-wise, he had a nice year last year at the Chargers. Looks like he's starting to figure things out. And then you get him in Kansas City with Spagnuolo, with Dave Merritt. We know the talent is there. Getting that with the coaching staff here in KC. I'm so excited about Fulton, but again, it's a little bit like Hollywood where it's like, he's talented, but can he stay healthy?
The depth to me is the most important part about this because I look at any defense in the NFL, the cornerback room and the safety room is really that one spot, that one unit where you can't really squeak by with practice squad guys. Like we've seen on the offensive side of things with a running back, especially in an Andy Reid offense, guys that are on the practice squad, they're able to come in and thrive in that offense. Not everyone, but they've had some success in doing that. Whereas last year, I know the Super Bowl is a little bit different, but man, when they went down with Jalen Watson, you are pulling guys up from the practice squad, and good quarterbacks, they're going to target that. And even if you have a good week, it's not going to be sustainable long enough to have solid play in the secondary, where this year, I believe top to bottom with the depth chart, you have a little bit more comfort there, where if Christian Fulton is not able to go early on in the season, you can still rely on Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson. I know a lot of people are out on Josh Williams, and then, of course, Najee Johnson as well, as Sterling was just talked about. But, again, it's another year under the belt. It's another year in that system. And then you add in a rookie like Noel Williams, who can take the traditional secondary, path that happens with Steve Spagnuolo guys, where you're not being asked to play 80% of the snaps in weeks 1 through 10, but you're slowly coming along, and you can play behind some of these guys, and you're not being thrown into the fire by week 6 or week 7, where a quarterback like Josh Allen, a quarterback like Joe Burrow, they'll go right at you in the first quarter immediately. We're not even throwing at Trent McDuffie. We are going to go at the guy that's matched up with that player, and it burned the Chiefs a lot if they weren't getting good enough pass rush in that game.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I also, my thoughts. I hope, and I think I'm wrong because it still sounds like Spags likes Chamari Connor in the slot, at least on the field. I like Christian Roland Wallace. I liked him last year, heading into the year. That was I think Holmes and myself, we talked about it even on the show. I said, pick one guy who was going to be a surprise make for the 53 last year. We both went with Christian Roland Wallace. That happened. Mm-hmm. I'm still intrigued by him as well. I thought he actually played fine last year. He's not elite by any means, but that was his, rookie year last year. I wouldn't mind seeing Christian Roland Wallace get more run this year, even ahead of Chamari Connor, because I think Chamari Connor fits best as a safety. So I almost want to throw Christian Roland Wallace another year under his belt into the mix as well.
The safety position, and look, they have, in these three positional groups we're talking about, linebacker, cornerback, and safety, the Chiefs have three players that they acquired via trade in their draft picks. Noel Williams they got via Joe Thuney. Trading Joe Thuney's pick, they used that. Trading Joe Thuney for a pick, they used that pick to move up to get Noel Williams. Jeffrey Bassa, they traded Howie Roseman for Jeffrey Bassa. They traded nothing. Howie Roseman gave them Jeffrey Bassa. Remember that.
Yeah.
Anytime we talk about Bassa, remember that Brett Veach got Bassa and gave up nothing. Howie Roseman gave them that pick. The Chiefs were not taking their pick. They knew they weren't taking their pick. They still traded the fifth rounder to move up one spot. and the Chiefs got Jeffrey Bossa.
Hey, if we lose by 3 scores in the Super Bowl, will you throw us a free pick?
A 5th rounder, that'd be great. I told everybody Chiefs were picking 32nd in the first round. Nobody would believe me. And then they got Jaden Hicks from the Buffalo Bills as part of the Xavier Worthy trade. Moving up, then they got that 4th rounder back, and they got Jaden Hicks out of it. So you got Bossa, you got Noah Williams, and you got Jaden Hicks from Brett Veach moving around in the draft board and trading a certain number of people. We talked about Bossa. We talked about Noah Williams there being a part of it. And Jaden Hicks is what could make the safety room the same as it was last year, maybe better. And I think if it's better, let's talk about this, because I think everybody's in agreement that it's worse than what it was last year because you lose Justin Reed and you replace it with Jaden Hicks. Throw in Edwards if you want to, but really Justin Reed was, that captain of the secondary. You lose him, you replace him with Jaden Hicks. 2 players, I think, can make the safety room better. One of those guys isn't even in the safety room. Christian Fulton and Jaden Hicks can make the safety room better than what it was last year. If
Sure.
Jaden Hicks plays to the level that you got from Justin Reed and can take over the Justin Reed role, we didn't know what Justin Reed would look like taking over for Tyrann Mathieu. He was better than Tyrann Mathieu's 3rd year in Kansas City. I'm not saying Jaden Hicks is going to be better than Justin Reed's 3rd year in Kansas City, but Justin Reed was better than Tyrann Mathieu's 3rd year. And if Christian Fulton is healthy, doesn't that then move Shamari Connor back to being a rover-type safety player that then
Yes.
joins that room? And now you're deeper with Jaden Hicks, Brian Cook, and Shamari Connor. And then you've got Mike Edwards and things like that, as opposed to last year it was Justin Reed, Brian Cook, Jaden Hicks as a rookie, and then Deion Bush
Yeah.
or something along those lines. There's an element and an area here, if Christian Fulton is healthy and Jaden Hicks is that guy, that the safety room could actually be improved from what it was last year.
Jaden Hicks graded out well on PFF. 72.2 for that's 35th out of 171 safeties.
Great
who were
run
qualified.
stopper, great tackler.
Correct. He graded out very well in that and graded out well in coverage. Justin Reed had a great year last year as far as maybe his best ever, I think, on PFF. 76.9, so he was 19th out of 171 safeties. Run defense was elite. Coverage grade was actually elite for Justin Reed last year, which I found a little surprising. Which is funny because typically PFF actually doesn't like Justin Reed, but last year they did. It was a little, again, PFF sometimes you just take with a grain of salt because sometimes it doesn't always match the eye test. But that is a big loss. Justin Reed was outstanding last year. But again, they're not asking Jaden Hicks to be 1-for-1. The leadership role is going to be a multitude of guys. I think the run defense is going to be similar. 6'3", 212 for Jaden Hicks. He's also about a similarly strongly built guy like Reed. Coverage, you have to be adequate, but that's not what they're asking out of you. It wasn't like Reed was always put on in coverage. A lot of times it was in the box being the run stuffer. That is why, again, if you can move Shamari Connor back into that role, I really think you're right. You're onto something as far as it helping the overall secondary picture, because I do think that's his best role.
Yeah.
I told you I like that Mike Edwards pickup.
Yeah, you do.
I talked about that beforehand. They're going to get a Mike Edwards type, and it was Mike Edwards.
Yeah, but I didn't want him. I wanted a type of him.
I like the Mike Edwards because then again, it's a different style of a different flavor, completely opposite of Jaden Hicks, completely opposite of Justin Reed. I think you're right. The upside of the safety room is great, but I guess the question still remains: is Brian Cook gonna take a step back, forward, same?
I'm just counting on Brian Cook being what he was last year. I know the Chiefs have said that he's still last year was still like Najee Johnson was the year recovering from the ACL. It was first year back from ACL. Brian Cook first year back from the ankle. So that's why they didn't look as explosive. I'm going to look at Brian Cook as being the same as he was last year. We'll see. And he got toasted a number of times. I think he just is who he is back there at safety.
What's funny is Brian Cook's run defense graded out elite last year.
That's what I'm saying, like coverage.
But coverage was
you've got two guys.
Decidedly ungood.
Yeah, you've got
you
got coverage in Brian Cook that wasn't great, and Jaden Hicks that we know one thing for sure, he's awesome against the run and he's a great tackler. But now he's going to have to be out there every play, and our team's going to find a weakness and expose something in Jaden Hicks that's already there with Brian Cook and leaving some guys one-on-one, where is Spags going to have to coach around maybe some deficiencies there with Jaden Hicks in coverage. And it wasn't like Justin Reed was, Ed Reed or Polamalu or something in coverage or anything like that. He was better. Jaden Hex has at least one part of his game that is already one of the best in the league because the way he was grading out in missed tackle percentage being as low as it was and run stopping percentage being as high as it was, he was already grading out as one of the better safeties at that level in the league. What does he do in coverage? We'll have to find out. But his coverage can be helped out if Christian Fulton is good and McDuffie's at the slot, and Shamari Connor can then move to being more of a rover, cowboy type star defender whatever terminology they use for the guy that just is football player.
What's even funnier is Shamari Connor, they graded his best attribute last year, run defense. With Mike Edwards for his past year, run defense, elite. His action was the highest of all the safeties that are. It's actually pretty funny. I mean, that's a big part of Spagnuolo's defense. Obviously, is you have to tackle. You can't be scared to tackle. How many cornerbacks and safety members are? I don't want to say Marcus, but kind of like Marcus Peters, where it's I'll give you an arm tackle here. That's not my strength. If you're going to be in this Spagnuolo defense, Dave Merritt defense, you are going to have to tackle, whether you are 5'10" or 6'5". It does not matter.
Yep. Jack, do you think the safety unit can be better than what it was last year? Or, man, it would be a win if it just gets to the level of what it was last year?
Kind of the same way I feel about the offensive line, where the upside's there. You definitely have the upside of being much better than you were last year. But upside can be a dangerous thing. Same way the word potential is a dangerous thing. We can be high on all of these guys, and they look great in training camp, and they're healthy, and another year under their belt in Spags' system. That's going to help them greatly down the back half of the schedule. But I do feel that the loss of Justin Reed is probably going to be felt the most early on in the season. When that Spags defense typically struggles right early on, not everybody's on the same page. Some guys are getting reps that aren't used to being everyday players, or at least guys that are getting 60% or over the snaps. So I think losing a guy like that is highly intelligent, as athletic. As one of the leaders on that defense, that's always going to be felt, but you're hoping that by week 10 and on, everybody feels more comfortable around each other and working in the system. The good news is, though, you're not bringing in a bunch of new guys. It's just guys that aren't used to being those go-to players.
Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
Breaking news.
Yeah. Do we need to play the sounder? Oh, gotta get sounder. Like we said,
Okay. Boom! Gosh, that gets me hyped. Micah Parsons.
Uh-oh.
Quote, "Thank you, Dallas. I no longer want to be here."
Whoa. Well, Jerry Jones has handled this perfectly.
He said he wanted to be here, did everything that he could to show he wanted to be a Cowboy. He wrote a 3-note-page essay.
Front and back!
And then some.
Friends reference.
So, yeah. Looks like he's wanting to be traded once out of Dallas. Quote, "I no longer want to play for the Dallas Cowboys. My trade request has been submitted to Stephen Jones personally."
That's a guy who grew up a Dallas fan, whose dream come true was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, playing at Penn State, and Dallas was on the clock, and he's like, no way, can I really go to the Dallas Cowboys? He's living out his dream to play for the Dallas Cowboys. And, as they say, never meet your heroes. But in his note, looking at it now, unfortunately, I no longer want to be here. I no longer want to be held to closed-door negotiations without my agent present. I no longer want shots taken at me for getting injured while laying it on the line for the organization, our fans, and my teammates. I no longer want narratives created and spread to the media about me. I had purposely stayed quiet in hopes of getting something done, but since there is confusion out there, let me clear some things up. I had my agent reach out to the Cowboys last offseason after my third year in hopes of getting a deal done early. Unfortunately, the team did not want to start any negotiations at that point. I was okay with that, didn't complain, focused on the 24 season. After the season, I told my agent once again to let the team know we were open to negotiate when they met at the Combine. My agent informed me I should wait for other deals to get done because the price would only go up, but I didn't care and wanted to secure myself as a Cowboy long term. This was before any of the other pass rushers deals got done. Let me see. I knew I would be leaving money on the table, but again, I was okay with that. Again, radio silence as far as my extension. In March, I met with Mr. Jones to talk about leadership. Somehow the conversation turned into him talking about a contract with me. Yes, I engaged in a back and forth in regards to what I wanted from my contract, but at no point did I believe this was supposed to be a formal negotiation, and I informed Mr. Jones afterward my agent would reach out thinking this would get things done. But when my agent reached out and spoke to Adam, he was told the deal was pretty much already done. My agent, of course, told him that wasn't the case and also reached out to Stephen Jones. Again, the team decided to go silent. At that point, we decided we would allow the team to reach out to us whenever they decided. A lot of decisions going on.
Yeah.
Whenever they decided they wanted to talk. Yet, still not a call, email, or text to my agent about starting a negotiation. Up to today, the team has not had, and then it goes to the next page, but it's there's still like 10. I reach out to, of course, told him it wasn't the case. Again, the team decided to go silent. Up to today, the third picture of his screenshot is like 12 lines of the previous picture.
Correct, yeah. It was interesting.
Up to today, the team has not had a single conversation with my agent about a contract. Not one demand has been made by my agent about money, years, or anything else. Still, I stayed quiet, but again, after repeated shots at myself and all the narratives, I have made a tough decision. I no longer want to play for the Dallas Cowboys. My trade request has been submitted to Stephen Jones personally. So there you go. That came out roughly 7 minutes ago.
It was actually about 2 minutes ago, and then it took about 5 minutes to get through the essay that
Well, it took me a little bit to catch up when he goes to the second screenshot.
The dissertation.
As to where the first screenshot ended, because the second screenshot started with like 8 different lines from the previous screenshot.
No, I wasn't blaming you. It just was a dissertation.
Yes, front and back.
Anytime you can get sideways with a 25, 26-year-old elite edge rusher in 4 seasons who has 52.5 sacks, you got to do it. Anytime you can get sideways with the pinnacle of elite pass rush in the National Football League, you got to do it. Anytime you can just really piss them off by just not responding, why wouldn't you do that, right? I've said for the longest time, the deal's going to get done. We know who Jerry Jones is. He likes to act like he has the power, and then what does he do? He also likes to say, I have the highest paid so-and-so at this position. He loves being like, my largesse knows no bounds. I gave him all this money. Look at me. I'm Jerry. But he wants to make sure you know that he is going to take his time on it. Well, it sounds like he is taking too long, and you piss him off, and Stephen Jones may be the main culprit here.
It's hard to piss off a guy whose dream was it to play for your organization, especially if, now this is one person's side of it. We also have the side of it from the Cowboys that we've heard that, you know, this guy missed 6 games last year. Did not. He's missed 5 games in his career. And you can go get hit by a car. Just because we signed him doesn't mean we're going to have him. Okay? That goes for anything. Then never re-sign a player. Why did you re-sign CeeDee Lamb? Why did you re-sign Dak Prescott? Why did you do any of those things?
52.5 sacks in 4 years.
You've got a guy whose dream it was to play for your organization. And if true, again, one person's side of it, if true, that they came to you to get it done early, and his agent said, no, you need to wait because your contract's going to get more and more expensive with other defensive ends and edge rushers signing their contracts, and he said, I don't care, I want to be a Cowboy, let's get it done. If that's true, and the Cowboys ignored the agent's call, I would say it's a fireable offense, but you can't fire those guys. I mean, it would be a fireable offense for somebody that's in a position that's not either the owner or working for their dad who's the owner. You got those guys in position, there's job security. You ain't going anywhere. Do whatever you want. You now have asking for trades currently. Micah Parsons, Trey Hendrickson, and Terry McLaurin all wanting to be traded. The money has gotten crazy in the NFL. It is skyrocketed.
Sure.
And some teams are not ready to increase the money towards said players that would be at least in the players' eyes, on par with the way the money is going up with their representative level to others. You know, the housing market goes up, the houses in your neighborhood go up, your comparables in the housing market also then would go up to match those. Some buyers aren't willing to go and pay that. And those specific teams are not willing to go and pay that for these players. And the negotiations have turned sideways to therefore it's the point of no return. And I'll view this from a local perspective real quick, Sterling. And that is, this situation could have happened in Kansas City in March of 2022 into April, May, June, July, and August with a player named Tyreek Hill. But they found out what Tyreek Hill wanted, found out what Drew Rosenhaus then wanted once the other contracts came in and wanted more money. The Chiefs were sitting at a position of negotiation at a level that they were willing to go to. Drew Rosenhaus and Tyreek Hill came over the top of that with Christian Kirksey and Devontae Adams. The Chiefs couldn't get there. Some behind-the-scene negotiations. Tyreek saying, well, no, I reached out, and can you just do this? Well, the Chiefs said they were going to do this. Well, we said this to Tyreek, and all of these he said, she said. Either way, it got to the point where the Chiefs said, we ain't doing this for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
We're not playing this game. We're trying to win Super Bowls, and that's not how we're going to conduct business. We can't get there with you, Tyreek. You're going to be more valuable to us by getting these trade pieces. First-round pick, second-round picks, third-round picks, and the cap number and the money that we're going to spend on you, it's going to be better used elsewhere because we trust that we're going to be smart in using it. We can keep Chris Jones now, and we'll go and use these picks to make the overall 1 through 53 better. While getting worse at the wide receiver spot, we do have 15, but we're going to make sure 15's on board with this too because that's how we conduct business. We're not going to do this behind his back and say, oh, sorry, Tyreek down there somewhere. Bleep it. Yeah, down there is Miami now. So Tyreek ain't down there somewhere. He's in Miami down there. Patrick aware of the situation, and they moved on because they weren't going to let it get to this. The Bengals let it get to that with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Trey Hendrickson. The Commanders are letting it get to that with Terry McLaurin in a year where they're trying to build off an NFC championship. And the Cowboys let it get to maybe the point of no return with one of the best defensive players in the NFL whose dream it was to simply play for your organization. And according to him, was willing to take less money before these T.J. Watt, Max Crosby deals got signed that Parsons was going to sign and would be cheaper than them, according to him.
So I will say this. It doesn't mean he's going to play for another team.
Yeah, if they come with him and meet all the demands he wants, then he'll sign, you know.
Because we saw this with Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett said, I'm not playing for the Browns. I'm done. Move me, trade me, all this. And they came back and said, we'll pay you $40 million a year. He goes, I can't wait. I love the Browns. I've never once said a bad thing about them. Let me delete my previous tweets.
I've always loved the Adam Frazier trade.
So I do wonder. I do think that eventually Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones, they come together and Jerry goes, hey, Steven, sit this one out. I'm handling this one. We're getting this done.
But it seems like Gerald might be the one that's doing the BS when he's talking about all the injuries and everything.
Sure, it could be a combo. Yeah. Either way, when it's said and done, if you're getting offered more money now, but now what you have to do is you have to overpay. Now you have to overpay to make up for the PR point. That's what happened with Myles Garrett. Would he originally signed for $37 million? But no, he would have gotten sideways. He goes, I want out, and then eventually he had to go and sign for $40 million a year. So now you have to pay the I bleeped up tax.
You played the I was being an AH tax.
And that's what the Cowboys have to do if they want to keep Mike Parsons.
Man, that's a great point about that. I just think you see how some teams do business, and you see how some teams have success year after year. And the Cowboys are perennially in the same spot where, ooh, the Cowboys could do this, and they don't. The Bengals.
And they can't.
And they can't. The Bengals perennially in a spot to where they don't want to pay players, and they can't have consistent year in, year out success with their teams. And the Chiefs are willing to pay the right players in certain aspects that conduct themselves certain ways. And if you don't conduct yourself a certain way, you can't then ask for top dollar. or you'll be more valuable to the team in a trade piece. Or we're not going to pay you because of an injury issue, something like that. Like, there are different ways that they have gone about it. They have paid Trey Smith. They played Chris Jones. They've paid Kelsey. Increased his salary.
Great, Patrick. I mean, they paid a lot of guys.
Justin Patrick. Now George Karlaftis. I do believe they want to pay Trent McDuffie. Like, we've seen them pay guys that they want to have around.
Bolton.
Orlando Brown got kind of public with his. Now, Chris Jones did too when he was writing the different stories or whatever. But apparently a lot of that had to do with, we need to get Patrick Mahomes done before we can get you done, Chris. So please be patient, even though the fun stories that he was writing about, some limerick or whatever. But Orlando Brown, some keys and watches and oceans and that were lost and whatever in water. But Orlando Brown got a little public with, well, we know they don't want to go to camp or start the season with who they have. And Andy Reid then went on record and said, that's not how we conduct business around here.
Yeah.
And they offered him a contract, but he didn't accept it. And they said, well, then we're moving on.
Yeah.
We're not going to sit here and just be BS'd by you. We've already had our little disagreement, tit for tat, last offseason. We ain't doing it again. We're moving on to Juwan Taylor. Accept the contract or not. No, we're going to get Juwan Taylor. And until we sign him, you can accept this contract. But once we offer him that contract and he signs, you're out. Sorry, we're going on to Juwan Taylor. Juwan Taylor, what a terrible signing. Well, they weren't going to mess around with Orlando Brown. They weren't going to bleep around with that. So if you don't like the Juwan Taylor contract, which I totally understand, part of that is how the Chiefs conduct business that has got them to this point of who they've signed, who they've traded, and who they haven't overpaid for.
Yeah.
And who they have said, we ain't doing this in this organization. Sorry, Orlando. Go block for Joe Burrow. Go be the Cincinnati Bengal. And you're not going to be here in Kansas City. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. Holmes, Jack Johnson heading up until 2 o'clock. Lot of trade deadline talk today with the Royals doing what they did. I believe getting better, smart moves, making really good decisions, threading a needle of increasing the raising the floor of the team while also helping them get better for 2026. We'll see what happens the rest of the way. These next 6 games,
they may have
will go a long
fit
way.
That camel through the eye of that needle.
It is not easy to do. Yeah, I'm not sure why you do that, but
because they
it's fine.
threaded the needle. I mean, I'm honestly very impressed with the fact that you're right. They didn't just get better for today.
Mm-hmm.
They also got better in 26 and 27. We asked them, don't buy if it's going to hurt the future. They bought and improved the future.
Yeah. There is a lawsuit that is being looked at in Jefferson City. The lawsuit is to stop the Show Me State Sports Act, the bill that was passed for the Chiefs/Royals and their stadium. State Senator Michael Moon, Senate District 29 down in Springfield. State Representative Bryant Wolfen, House District 145, St. Louis. And Mary's County resident Ron Calzone, Marys County, population 8,000, filed the lawsuit in Cole County, which is Jeff City, arguing about the Senate Bill 3 that it is unconstitutional. Says the appropriations described in the bill are a direct gift or a bribe to the owners of the Chiefs and the Royals to stay in Missouri. Well, I will say if you want to look at the specific letter of the definition, any tax relief you give for any company to come to your state, city, county is in theory a bribe. We're going to give you tax relief on this property if you bring your business here or your headquarters here. Well, that's a bribe. So I hope that Michael Moon and Bryant Wolfen don't have any businesses in their district of constituents that have any tax relief in any way, shape, or form so that they stay in Senate District 29 or House District 145, Springfield and St. Louis. I don't know of any businesses that would be there and be headquartered or have businesses there to where they would be offered certain tax incentives to make sure they hang around in that spot, because that would be a bribe or a direct gift if that's the case. But that's not a direct gift or a bribe because you're not giving it to Clark Hunt or John Sherman. You are increasing the valuation of their team, but they are not owning the complex. Jackson County owns the Truman Sports Complex and the land.
I wonder why teams keep leaving Missouri. Shocking.
I mean, they go on to say, KCTV, Bryant Wolfen told KCTV, says, we're saying that the Chiefs and Royals and technically the Cardinals are certainly the only ones that can benefit from this, whereas the MLS teams, the Battlehawks, the Blues, as I said, they get nothing, so there's some frustration there. Well, do the MLS teams need new stadiums? Are they going to leave? And also, the minimum is $500 million project. So does St. Louis FC have a $500 million stadium getting ready to be built?
The Battlehawks.
Yeah. And here's the other thing that really pisses me off about this. The lawsuit states, it appears that what is really going on is that the Missouri legislature has passed a law which year by year, the taxpayers are now paying 73% of Patrick Mahomes' salary. You dumbass. Fans and can we get to the point to where we can finally understand how this works? I understand that there's a lot of people in politics that don't understand how things work. I get that. Because they're used to things not working. The government just not working. We didn't get to it. We'll just table it. Ooh, we got a vacation starting in an hour. Sorry, didn't get to it. We understand things not working. There's not a lot of work that they seem to want to do. But can you understand that taxpayers and fans do not pay players' salaries. It's the TV revenue generated. It's the revenue sharing in the NFL between the 32 teams. Ticket sales, okay, part of it. But if nobody showed up to games, the NFL would still be rich as hell because it's the TV network. Why is the salary cap going up? Because they sign new TV deals. That's why. Not because all of a sudden the Chiefs have sold out. Washington Commanders, they're good. They've sold out their stadium.
Who pays the politician's salary?
I think TV revenue.
Is it TV revenue?
I think Jerry Jones. I think it's Jerry Jones.
Okay.
Yeah. I believe.
I would love to know who pays that guy's salary.
Well, certainly not taxpayers. We don't do that because we would want to pay people that actually understand how it works and not waste people's time, which is what this is. And to actually say in a lawsuit that taxpayers are paying 73% of Patrick Mahomes' salary. You're an idiot.
How do you get to the number?
Because they're saying if you offer the Chiefs this much for your stadium, it's 73%
That's
or
anything.
whatever.
Well, if I don't use you as my accounting firm, then I pay your salary because I use you.
It's dumb. I mean, it's absolutely dumb. Let's have Springfield, St. Louis, and somebody in a county of 5 people dictate what goes on in Kansas City.
How about we cut?
How about hey Bryant Wolfen of St. Louis? How about deal with your teams leaving, and not then be like, well, our team's left. Your team should leave too.
Speaking of cuts, how about we cut them out?
Yeah. How about Brian Wolfen learn from what happened in St. Louis and try not to make the same mistake in Missouri twice? Oh, but it's the west side of the state. Yeah, go eat a D. weekend. Sterling Holmes, Jason Anderson, and Jack Johnson, Royals, Blue Jays coming up tonight. Some best of training camp coming up tonight as well. All right, Jack, why don't you go ahead and take it away, and let's get the cuts rolling from things that we have heard this week, or maybe we haven't got around to playing yet. Let's find out.
What are you benching? Three and a quarter?
No benching. A broomstick. I'm doing close grip broomstick benches.
Really?
Presses. Just a
so
broom.
Right now,
that's as heavy as I can go.
You are Kyle's bitch when it comes to
I am his bitch.
Okay, so I'll make sure.
I am his bitch.
By the way, I don't know that I've ever seen a hand go higher in the air before pressing the button to mark something.
Good for you,
just
Kyle.
Right then.
He did.
Good for you,
right
Kyle.
Then.
Mark that. There's plenty of. You go through my marks. There's plenty of them in there.
Finally got myself a liner.
You did. I'm your bitch.
Continues to double down on it too. Well done.
Love
Grunny.
it.
You go, Grunny?
Yeah, Grunny.
Keep going.
Oh.
No, just keep going.
I think the intern's trying back there. Keystone.
A sports to the game.
Keep rolling, Jack.
A slowish start, like he shows some signs as the 4-hit day, hitting the ball hard up the middle, but where's his power? You said he's like Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. Well, that's where it was right there. 110 off the bat, majestic to right center field, just an absolute bomb. And look, get used to it, folks.
How did it go? The people that sending you tweets or emailing you, how's it go?
You said he's like Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. Like that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we got two options to pull on that to have for future reference.
Is that passing?
Your dimensions, your feel, your weight, your length, your color, your knob, whether it's small, curve, whatever it may be. And so,
I don't know about that.
Who's your daddy? What?
Keep going.
Who is?
Adam just never laughed.
He didn't get it. He didn't get it.
I sat in the control room with Dravetta for months, and when he did laugh, it would just be a, huh.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, he'd give the old, huh, interesting, huh, no, huh, that's funny.
We're not forced to go to these tournaments. We choose to go to the tournaments.
Garrick, do you remember things when you were 8, 9, 10 years old?
10. And 9, not 8.
They're creating memories. They're creating good, fun experiences for
I remember
kids.
being forced to go see The Deer Hunter when I was. It created a memory.
Yeah,
That's a
well,
memory.
you learned what Russian roulette was.
He learned. Learned something.
You got to learn sometime, I guess, clearly. I ain't doing much bragging with that. I think Kareem Hunt certainly would pass a lot more gassers than I would. So
wow,
depends on what he ate. I don't know. He's also in better shape than I am. He's a third down back, and I'm not.
So what is a poof zone, Gary?
Oh, come on. Thunderstorms approach us. They see the city lights. They grab a selfie. They then disintegrate into thin air. I mean, I've been watching it all spring, and it's driving me and Jeff Better crazy.
This is like the poof cruise, that the thing I saw on
So
Netflix?
if you know, that's poop cruise.
Oh, so they're different.
Taylor Hemden, the anchor man on KSHP in the morning, he sort of said, look at that, there's a poof. Let's call it the poof zone. And I said, maybe we should call it the P zone. And then I lost it because I didn't realize what I just said.
You need to watch it
so
there,
we,
Gary.
we decided not to call it the P zone.
Well, I know you're just
let me tell you something. Lebo was late coming back from commercial break because he was in the P zone.
That's right. That was what's going on with Lebo. You never know what's going to take place in the break with all these different shows.
I drink a lot of P zones.
It happens. Sometimes
I drink a lot of coffee. I'm the
sometimes you're blocked.
the Dylan Michaels method.
Sometimes you're blocked
of coffee.
That pass protection zone, the P squared zone, right? Pass pro zone. That's the Josh Simmons zone of what you hope that he's in right now. P squared zone. The PP zone.
What was I talking about when I said, "Who's your daddy"? I know exactly when I was going to go
You were
the
asking-
tattoo.
No, you asked many different people, "Who's your daddy?" You just
All the
walk
time.
around and say, "Hey, who's your daddy?" Who's your daddy? Daddy. Well done, Jack, filling in for Drake this week, who's filling in for Dylan. But Dylan's it's got to be your bull. You get the point. Because it's your dog.
Oh,
You
it's
understand?
mine.
It's different because it's your dog. All right, we gave a B out to the Kansas City Royals and their draft grade, we'll see these next 6 games, whether that matters or not, how they go and perform could dictate the final 46 games the rest of the way. Program coming up next.